Yo, we're starting. Yo.
What's going on?
All right. This is Full Court Press, episode 5. Which archetype is most conducive? Did I spell conducive right? Anyways, conducive to winning. And I'm here with my co host, Mr. Funny Fat Boy here. What's good?
What's the deal, my boy? What's going on?
And then this nigga Moo. And Moo's not here.
It's
Nice.
crazy.
Anywho, and it's me. What else do you think this is? This is Xeno. Yo. Oh, I guess this one's supposed to be removed. Yo, what's good, man?
Bro.
Yeah, so as you see, the literal thing is talking about which archetype is most conducive to winning. Originally I was thinking, here's our
Khalil don't want
Yo,
he in Iraq, but he want to
And
do
then
that.
this is my other co-host, Khalil. What's good, Khalil?
yo, what's good? What's
You
good
don't
with
know
y'all?
him.
It was Sapolo. Yeah, so um we're going on to what we're originally going to do. I actually wanted to talk about specifically for guards for now. Um so let's start off with guards and see where we go with this one. So in the whole scheme of things, I want to try and put some parameters because it's kind of I know this is going to be kind of a lot of what's what I'm looking for in volume, like not in volume, in hypothetical is the word I'm looking for. Because at the end of the day, we don't actually know what their ceiling could actually be. But I'm just trying to see it from a perspective of okay, if he's like your second, can this archetype of player be your number one championship player, or is it second or whatever? So someone who's like Steph is not really going to be a norm, right? Because he's not the norm for scoring score first guards because of his scoring, how his scoring affecting his playmaking because of how he runs off ball, right? So I'm thinking more of like okay. So when I say scoring guards, I'm thinking of guards that usually use their athleticism and the athleticism to really cause havoc around the defenses. So something like a Westbrook, John Wall, um, those type of score first guards. Of course, you can use ones that don't rely on the athleticism as much, like maybe Kyrie is a good example. But that's where I think of scoring guards first. Do you think that those type of talents can actually be a number one in a championship team? And to me, I necessarily don't think so, simply because of the fact that I don't think they have anything that's quite reliable enough to be a number one championship player because usually it's due to their height, not being able to get past defenders or go to, like, for example, a wing player like let's say LeBron, right? LeBron is just stronger and faster, so he can just always attack the rim. Or Kawhi is stronger than most of the players in the league, so he can always just give when he's posting up, he can always just bump the defender a little bit so he can get into his upright fadeaway. So that type of stuff is what I'm trying to say when it comes to that. But what's your guys' opinions on this first before I give my actual opinion?
The scoring point guards, like when it's not a Jordan or Kobe or Steph, it is really hard for them to be your number one option on the championship team.
Mhm.
That's why I'd rather have like if you have a short point guard as your best player on the championship team, he has to be really, really, really good. He has to be like an all-time level scorer for that to actually work. That's why if I had like a shorter type point guard and he was going to be my number one, I'd rather have like a real advantage creator who can consistently get good looks for the offense. Someone like Steve Nash, who's always going to lead the league in like layup rim attempts assisted. He's going to get all his teammates involved. They're all going to get high leverage looks. As in the playoffs, they're not going to be over reliant on a 6'1" guard who's going to get defended by the towers in the league who can actually guard the perimeter and shut him down for what he's doing because they're way more schemable than a guy who's like 6'7" or 6'9" like LeBron, or a scorer that's actually like 6'6" and actually has some weight on them like Jordan, who are going to get to their spots regardless.
I
But when
do
you're a
agree
shorter
with
type
that
point
because
guard,
that's
it's going to be
that's
harder
why
for
I
them.
was thinking that that's why I was having the issue of thinking of a school first guard because
Mm-hmm.
unless they have something that's just out of the world like athleticism or they're just stronger than everyone in their position, it's going to be really hard for them to get to a spot or
Yeah, for
have
sure.
something in their arsenal that's going to be that reliable to really go to in crunch time, which like wings and big men usually do, because they have some type of thing more often that they can go to. Usually because, like, for example, big men, they can post up smaller players because majority of the players on the courts can be smaller than them. Or for a wing player, they can use their either their size to bully smaller players and their speed to bully the bigger players.
Hmm.
So stuff like that makes sense. But like for guards, it's kind of harder for them to do so because usually they're not going to be able to just blow past all the defenders, unless they're freaky fast, if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, for sure. They're definitely like smaller guards who are pure scorers are going to be a lot less resilient against the better defenses in the league for sure, just because the lack of counters that they can even provide you.
I agree with most of what y'all are saying. Honestly, I think what we're gonna see later on, like right now, I think the score first guard being your number one option on a championship team is probably not the best way to go. You know, these guards can score. Like a lot of these guards are getting a lot better, but as far as number one goes, it's just kind of tough to build around. It's
Hmm.
kind of tough to build from 1 to 5, like versus your wing being the best player. So you're building your point guard, your 2, and then your 4, your 5. It's always
Hmm.
hard to start from the 1 and build everything around him. But now that we are seeing like how, I want to put something out there. Now that we're seeing how good it is to have a playmaker as a big and how much more able bigs are to do that, like we're gonna see a lot more taller players who are in the post and are big men allowed to kind of run an offense from the
Hmm.
paint. So
Okay,
with
so
that
you're
being
essentially
said,
talking about how big men are now coming into the league with more guard skills.
and not even really guard skills, but just being able, because people assume that because you're a back to the basket big or you're a post up kind of big, that you don't have vision, because posting up is usually is always an isolation situation and you're looking to score most of the time. But being a big down there, you see everything, not just on defense, but on offense. You see everything. Like you see where people need to go. You're the backfield, so you see everything. And I think now we're gonna see more like bigs who are the best player on their team, but they're not the first option scorers because they run the offense from the inside. So score first guards being like the number one scoring option and being able to win a championship is probably going to happen a little, because look at Jokic and look at the level of somebody like Jamal Murray. He's not he's not a top 5 guard in the league, but you give him somebody that can play make like Jokic. They don't even have to score as heavily, but you give him somebody
Yeah.
that can be like have vision from the big spot. He averaged 30 something. You know what I'm saying? Like he could average 27 in playoff situations, because it's just so tough to double and help off of somebody that's playmaking so deep into the offense. It's basically like how people tell you, like, when you're playmaking, you want to attack the defense, because that once you get inside the defense, it's way easier to make plays. But when you have a big who can score and play make, he's already there. Like, and the reason why they tell you to get there, because it's difficult to double and get back, and you make a defense move as much as you can. So I think later on we're gonna see like scoring guards with less playmaking responsibilities, and they'll be the number one options on their team. Like we'll see somebody like how, you know, like the dynamic of Dame and Giannis. We'll see that a little bit more. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying?
You mean like an inside out threat, essentially?
Yeah, like where the big is down there making plays. I think that's the next kind of direction the league is going to go, and I think that will allow guards to be number one options and actually like lead it to winning more often than it doesn't.
But the reason why I specify usually point guards specifically is simply because of the fact that usually they are the smallest player on the team, and I understand that's kind of basic, but it's usually as we all know, basketball is a game of height and inches. So them being smaller and
That's crazy,
I
fam.
literally said pause just to get that on the bar. But what's called them usually being the smallest players on the team. Also, usually the have the lightest frame is harder for them to get to a specific spot in the core because they're gonna have to rely on more athleticism and skill to get there rather than like, for example, a 6'8". How tall is Luca? Like 6'8". Like he's just able to just bully his way to a point of pick, like, I don't know, their guard or like one of their wings possibly as well to just bully them to a spot that he wants to take it.
As it stands right now, that's not a good, like right now, current day, the point guard is probably the worst.
For the thumbnail, by the way.
Yeah, like right now, to this day, the point guard is the worst person to be your number one option.
True.
And you win a ring. Like they're the worst person. You know what I'm saying? Because how good they have to be to do that, it's just unrealistic. Like in terms of like common out. Like it's not realistic. You're not gonna get a Steph. I mean, look at somebody like Dame.
Yeah, I was about to say you can be as good as Dame and not be able to be a first option.
Okay,
he's literally amazing.
Really good relative to his position.
Bro. I think really, if you really sit down and think about how many like really like point guards have actually been the number one in their championship teams. I'm not like arguable,
none,
but it's just what's called like genuinely that they are the number one.
Yeah, there's Magic, there's Curry.
Magic, Curry.
You could throw Isaiah Thomas in there, but Magic.
Not really Walt Frazier, sorry.
Magic didn't do it the whole time either.
Of course.
Like he's done it before, but he didn't. Like all of his championships are not that. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
You know.
But then again,
you want to know something crazy? Listen to this, bro. Somebody told me this, and it makes a lot of sense now that I hear it. Speaking of point guards, bro, like, because somebody asked the question, what would the league be like if Stephen Curry didn't exist? And somebody quoted it, I can't remember, bro. I wish I could say your name. They said Damian Lillard would be the best three-point shooter in the world. I said, bro, what the fuck? I said that's probably true. Record-wise, probably not. But, bro, look at how he shoots. Like, we would think, like, damn, that's one of the best three-point shooters in, like he's gonna break records maybe in 4 more years. You feel me? Dame.
He's talking about Dame.
Well, Dame would be the best shooter in the NBA
tournament. I think Trey is almost there to be one of the best.
I ain't gonna lie. Ever. I like Trey Young. Bro, Dame is so much better of a three-point shooter.
He's just way better.
Yeah. I know.
Like if Steph wasn't in the league, Dame would be the
but the thing is with that,
best three-point shooter in the league.
That's why I say that, because when they do add that 4-point line, Trey is going to be very prevalent.
I don't think they'll ever.
Okay, can we not bring up the 4-point line thing, because I'm not trying to believe.
Yeah, I don't want to see that.
You don't think that should be a thing?
No,
it shouldn't.
No,
I think anything can happen, but I don't want it to though.
I don't ever want to see a situation where you're having bigs being stretched out to the fucking 3-point line because niggas wants to take 4-pointers. That does not make sense. Nope, don't want to do that shit. That doesn't even make sense. Like niggas are actually going to lose to a 4-point play because someone just heaved the shot. No, I don't want to hear that shit.
From 30 feet is.
Comebacks are going to be so easy too.
Exactly.
But name the players that could consistently shoot a 4-point shot or a 30
LaMelo, Trey,
Curry, Dame.
Like you're telling me
it.
You're telling me
Paul George could probably make that hole. He could probably make. He can help make that for sure.
That doesn't even make enough sense to really warrant this conversation.
But Dame, bro, like. We would see Dame and we would think like, bro, it's not a whole. There's no way you could get a whole lot better than that. Like it ain't like Steph is just a little bit better than him. Like Steph is like a lot better than him.
I think he's significantly better.
But if he didn't exist, we would all think like, bro, there's no way you can get better than Dame as a 3-point shooter.
I don't
like that far. Like there's no like somebody is definitely better. Like there's no question. Like when you say who's the best shooter in the league, it's not Dame, it's Steph Curry.
Yeah,
But if
that
Steph
type of
didn't exist,
difficult
bro,
shot
there's no
making.
way we would think there was somebody that much better, bro.
Yeah, that type of difficult shot making on that type of range,
Bro,
and being
there's
able to
no
do it
like,
on the
bro.
move or off the dribble with the same range and accuracy, like he's
Moral of the
definitely the
story,
second best
bro.
shooter to me ever.
Moral of the story, bro. Steph is fucking unbelievable. Like he's
Yeah,
literally like that don't make sense, bro. Like we could look at Dame back, like when he retired, and be like, bro, there was a shooter at least 5 times better than you, bro. Like in the league that you played in too. Like that's crazy. I ain't gonna lie. And he can't even win a ring because you can't be a first option as a guard, bro. Somebody that good.
exactly.
Like, damn.
That's why like all the championship teams are usually relying on wings and bigs. They're just overall just way better to go up against for
I think you can
against
get as
elite playoff
close to it as
defenses and
Chris
all that.
Paul.
It's not even like they're better because they're more consistent on what they can get.
Yeah, because
within themselves.
a small
Yeah.
player can't provide you all that all the time.
And point guards still have to like at the end of the day, the game has a culture, and the point guard's culture still to this day is you have to get your teammates involved. Like even the most score first point guard, he still gets his teammates involved because that's his job. You know what I mean? Like, that's part
My
of it.
question for you guys now that we've essentially really went on to this conversation about how point guards necessarily can't be like a great just be a scorer, because that just doesn't, unless you're like the top echelon on that, you really can't affect a team on a championship level. What's your opinions on being a defensive player? Like being
At the point guard?
Yes.
What you mean?
Like, for example, if they were like, do you think they're more conducive to winning than the scoring or the first players, or do you think they're the weakest out of
No,
the three?
I think they're
more
definitely the weakest. Like, okay, but are you saying
That's
because
tough.
we were talking about scoring point guards as in first option?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
are you talking about defensive point guards as in the best defensive player on the team?
exactly.
No, that can't work.
Oh yeah,
Nah.
no. It's even no.
That just there's only so much that they can do. Like scoring point guards, we're saying there's only so much they can do, but defensive point guards, bro, they don't have that much wiggle
You're still
room of
gonna
how
need a
much they can affect
defender.
the defense to even be like, oh yeah, I'm the best defensive player on the team
You're
that
gonna
just
need a
won the chip.
defender. You're gonna need a defend. You're gonna need a defense or a defender as a center that's either close to as good as you defensively, or they're just good defensively. Period. You know what I mean? And then at that
Exactly.
point,
And you know what I
it
wanted
won't
to
become
add
a
on to that,
debate.
Mars? When you even sit down and think about it, J Kid is an anomaly
Don't
simply
say
because of the
Jason
fact that
Kidd's
J
more
Kid is
than
like
bro.
6'6", no?
Don't say Jason
He's
Kidd
like
name,
6'4".
bro. He's so overrated, bro. I don't ever want
Yeah,
to.
but we're talking about all right. Before
hate
you go
him,
on
bro.
your J Kid hate, we're talking about
He's
specific.
the only player I hate, bro. I
Oh,
hate
wow.
him. He's so whack, bro. I can go all day about how weak he is, bro. Y'all praise that nigga, bro. And to get to the finals the first time, he beat a bottom 5 defense and a bottom 5 offense, bro. What?
And the thing is with Mars' point,
That nigga is
like
bud.
the thing is with Mars' point about J Kid and Gary Payton, those guys also had very elite defensive cast around them too.
Yes.
That
Kenyon Martin,
it
Richard
wasn't just them
Jefferson.
mainly.
Oh,
And like the Brooklyn's defense was so good that even when J Kidd was off the court that he was anchoring, they were literally, I'm pretty sure they're the exact same defense with him on and off
He
in
was
the regular
only
season
anchoring because he was
in a
the
4-year
best.
sample size. And Supersonics, when they had GP, they still had Nate McMillan, who was one of the better guard defenders in the entire NBA too.
They were only anchoring because they were skillfully the best defenders. They weren't like a center who's the best defender on the team, and these niggas not defenders, and I'm still making the defense good.
Yeah, for sure.
They're
Like
not
there's
good.
no guard that can just like floor raise the defense that crazy. Like
No.
it has to be like some type of crazy outlier.
Moral of the story: Jason Kidd couldn't do shit, and he wasn't leading nothing.
Respect Ben Simmons.
Ben Simmons can't anchor a defense.
I'm true.
Jason Kidd is a little Ben Simmons, little dude. He's weak as hell. I swear.
That's wild.
No, bro. I used to watch him as a kid, and they used to be. You know what they used to say at like in public and at the barbershop, bro? They would call that nigga Ace and Kid because he has no J. I swear to God. Like they used to be
I
putting
heard
him,
that
bro.
nickname
He's
before.
whack. Like he's
I
so
remember hearing stories about how they used to call Dirk Nowitzki, because he had no defense.
Yes, bro. The players that niggas love today is so funny because I used to listen to them. People like really dog them. Like, bro, Dirk used to get clowned when he was the first seed and lost to the Warriors, bro. That was a bad time for that man.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It was
Everyone was
ugly,
calling him a
bro.
choker.
Gay kid top 3,
And that
top
wasn't the
10
first
and
time he had
threes
choked
was good.
before. He was already known for it, like before that too. It was bad. It was even worse after that.
Yeah, Jason Kidd was progressively throughout his career got better as a 3-point shooter, and like
Yes.
when he's at match.
Once he stopped trying to be the best on the team, he actually became valuable because he's fucking butt. That's why
Wow.
he's weak.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, even the Nets, who had a very elite defense around J Kidd and everything, that team was just never going to be good when Jason Kidd is basically your best scorer, or even he's basically getting asked to be your best scorer in the playoffs, and he literally just can't do that at all. And that's why the Nets were always one of the worst playoff offenses every single year.
They weren't
played in the
even a good
playoffs.
regular season offense. Apparently,
Yeah, they're always like bottom 15 every single time. It didn't
every
matter.
year, bro. Like, so all this Jason Kidd is a top tier, this and that playmaker, this and that, bro. What hell no? There's no way that a top 10 playmaker could lead an offense, and the best offense he's ever led was 17.
Yeah, you're right. It
No
was
fucking
it was
way,
in the later
bro.
in his career he became a better 3-point shooter, and that's how he got into the top 10 and threes. Yeah.
Somebody told me to put Jason Kidd as a playmaker over LeBron, bro. What?
Yeah,
No,
for
that's
playmakers, that's
wild.
insane. As a passer, I think that's more debatable, but playmakers, insane.
Man. Come
But
on.
no, it's definitely more what's called debatable than saying he's a better playmaker. Definitely. But
Who, LeBron?
no, I'm talking about if you're gonna argue something about Jason could be better than LeBron in being a better passer is way more debatable.
Oh yeah, passer. Yeah, definitely. Okay. Passer, I'll give Jason Kidd all his flowers, bro. You put that hole on the money, bro. Like he's an amazing passer, bro. Amazing.
Probably like the second or third best transition passer ever, because Magic got it for sure.
You know what's crazy?
And after that, it'll
bro?
probably be J.K.
No, I'm gonna wait until we get to the wing portion of this. But and when we were talking about guards, we talking about point guards only, or we talking about shooting guards too?
We're getting to that.
Okay.
But actually, right now, we're going to be talking about the playmakers now, since we've already ironed out the first two. So, what's your opinions on playmaking? The playmaking point guards.
They're probably the best still.
Do you think that they can realistically even be number ones though?
It depends. Like, yeah, I think Chris Paul on the Pelican days, I wouldn't say they was getting super far, but like
I would think Chris Paul's peak was actually lower than it could be, simply because of the fact, not even due to injury. Actually, it is due to injury. You know is it the ACL tear he got in New Orleans?
I don't think he ever tore his ACL.
Yeah, I don't think
he had a lower body injury in New Orleans. I can't remember what it was.
He definitely did. Like
he changed. It literally changed his whole game. If you really realized it, because he was more of he actually was more of a speedster when he was younger, and then he had some injury,
he was.
and then he became more of the methodical Chris Paul.
Yeah, slow the game down.
Yeah, I think he could because
meniscus,
I don't think like those teams with David West. I don't think you could have put somebody slightly better than David West, but also wasn't as good as Chris Paul, and they could have. I could see that team being a finals team. You know, after you add, better defenders, this and that. I could see, and on that team, it may be debatable, but I think everybody would probably agree like Chris Paul's the best player here in the first option.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think that team was a better balance of what the Suns had, but way worse offensively. That team was still like a good offensive unit and ahead of its time with how badly they could pick you apart in the pick and roll. On top of that, actually being like a decent enough defense to even go like be a talented team offensively and defensively in the Western Conference, which a lot of teams weren't.
And the Clippers is a tough. Here's the thing: the Clippers is a very confusing thing because I used to say Chris Paul was the first option offensively on that team, but it was only because I felt as though, yes, I think Blake Griffin is the better scorer, but the way that the team was ran, Chris Paul was just always so responsible for his points. Not like he couldn't be the first option or he was not first option talent.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I just think like Chris Paul wanted to be like in control of that whole thing. Like you know, and I
Yeah, for
think so. I
sure.
said when it came down, like when I was saying when it comes down to the last 2 minutes and you need like buckets, like creation buckets, Chris Paul was the person that you called. Of course, unless Jamal Crawford was on the court or something. But other than that, you called on Chris Paul. You didn't call on Blake for the ISO or
Jamal
No,
Crawford.
you got to call on
Chris.
Chris Paul even if Jamal on the court.
So I
But
would say
Jamal
he was the
Crawford
first
is
option on that
crazy.
team
yeah, nah,
as a
but
scorer.
Blake definitely showed that he can score even without CP3 in
He
2014
did.
when CP3 got hurt, and that's even why he was third in MVP race, anyways.
Yeah.
And then CP3 in the clutch is definitely one of the more clutch players of all time, which people tend to forget, which is it's because of his like
Do you guys?
glorious
Hey,
playoff.
Khalil, I know me and you had this conversation before, but do you think that Blake playing with Chris Paul actually hampered his growth as a player?
Yeah, I think it actually did because he was more prone to playing more off the ball as just a straight rim runner instead of showing his passing skills and like dribbling. How good he is, like no powerful. There's like rare, like Blake Griffin's a rare power forward archetype who can actually bring up the ball and dribble and play make for his teammates. On top of that, even playing off the ball, rolling to the rim, or even spotting up for threes later on in his career in like
Yeah, I actually want
2018,
to say that to
2019.
you, Khalil.
So,
Like to add on, I think
uh,
that what's called. I actually think that Blake Griffin, like you said, yeah, as a rare archetype, that he actually is kind of like PG in a sense. Like, just let me finish on this. That he's one of those players that has real no weaknesses in his game. When you saw it in his Detroit year, he literally
mhm,
could pretty much do everything that you want on the offensive end. You want him to spot up, he can do that. You want him to shot create, he can do that.
mhm.
He has a reliable move in the post that he can go to. He can attack the rim. He actually had when he had that 1 year in Detroit, he actually blossomed into a player that we all know he could be. But I feel like to what I said earlier, I think it took too long because of Chris Paul kind of, you know, hampering his growth to be stuff like that and mainly playing in that PNR style that they were known for. Okay.
Yeah, for sure. That was just going to be better for the team, anyways, to have Blake play more off of CP3, I guess. Because
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like,
yeah, because if they really wanted to lead and win, they're gonna have to do that to make him and Chris Ball more like a duo type. Because they already have more on-ball creators like Jamal Crawford in the regular season, or more off-ball three-point shooters like JJ Redick. But
I also think Blake being as good as he was as fast was also something that hurt him because a lot of people tend to forget like when you come in the league really good at what you're doing at that very moment, like you can get stuck between a decision or teams can make the decision for you of like, oh, this is the type of player you're going to be in the league for a long time.
Yeah,
Okay,
and
let's
you gotta
get
be.
players to
mhm,
complement what you are right now. You feel what I'm saying?
yeah,
Because Blake wasn't a shooter and he was a good passer, but obviously the flashes of that part of his game, they weren't all the way developed yet. So he was scoring so well, just you feel me, off straight athleticism. I'm fast as hell. My feet are good. I could jump. You know what I'm saying? You guys can't stay in front of me because I'm just too
mhm.
strong. I can just jump too high. So they see that and they're like, oh, well, let's just go cater to that. And once you get Chris Paul, it's like you can't go wrong with Chris Paul, especially at the time. Like he just had to fall in line at that time, like unfortunately. You know what I mean? I think if
Yeah.
Chris Paul would have came a little later, like if Chris Paul would have came around in like 2015,
Oh
we
yeah, he
probably
would
would
have
have
been.
been
It would have been
better
a different
players,
player. Then
honestly.
Doc Rivers would have implemented a different system.
Yeah, and Chris Paul's so adaptable. He can still play with the Blake Griffin that we seen in Detroit. It's not like he can't do that.
I think that's actually one of the most slept on parts about Chris Paul is how adaptable he actually is when it comes
Yeah,
to during his prime. That he actually could play with a lot of different types of players. If you want him to be the main PNR player, um, he can do that. If he's having to play with one of the most ball dominant players that we've seen in recent history in James Harden and still play
yeah.
off for him, he can do that. Like he's actually quite adaptable when you really sit down and think about it.
Yeah, so I just think Chris Paul was just Chris Paul came around too early in Blake's career, and it just domino affected. Like, you're not working on that part of your game because we don't need you to do that. We've got Jamal, we've got Chris Paul, we've got shooters, so you don't really need to spread the floor. We've got enough of those for you. Just do what we saw you do your rookie year the whole time.
Yeah, for sure. The thing
kinda
is,
messed
yeah,
it
I
up.
mean, Chris Paul, he showed like that he's really not a off ball player. He can only give you catch and shoot value, which is another nigga like Steve Nash, who they're basically just stationary shooters. They don't really move off the ball at all. They don't give
Yeah.
you any type of value aside from standing there. So I'd want to see how Chris Paul would adapt to Blake Griffin on the ball more in his playmaking abilities. But yeah, that would be like a whole different landscape of how the Clippers were in the mid 2010s.
Yeah. I think you just make Chris Paul like the corner nigga, like just find somebody else to run off the ball. Like Chris Paul in the corner, he gonna knock that hole down, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's not like he's the point guard. So if you don't have the ball, you unless you're gonna be running around like Steph, like I don't want you just running around and cutting and getting in people's way. Like just sit in the corner, you feel me?
What's the next topic, boy?
Yeah, boy.
You didn't. I was gonna do it straight after you finished. I was gonna add on. So since essentially, what do you when we had this whole conversation, because we spoke about the scoring, the playmaking, and the defense, we all agreed that the defensive guard is actually the weakest, right? So who do you think has the
Oh
highest
man.
ceiling, like realistic ceiling, and who do you think has the lowest ceiling? And then I want to ask another question for you guys before we move on.
I don't know if I don't know, man. Because scoring, even though scores be really good, like scoring point guards are real good, it doesn't make the result less bad. Like scoring is also bad, man. Like because let's just think, you may not have to be like, how do I say this? Like if you're the best scorer as a point guard on your team, the next best scorer to you most of the time isn't very close. But like how you said with GP and Jason Kidd, they're the best defenders on their team, but defenders around them are also still good.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so I think your likelihood of being the best defender on the team as the point guard at winning the ring might be better because you don't like the gap between you and the next person doesn't have to be as large. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. I can get with
I
that.
get what you're saying though.
Yeah, I definitely get what you're saying. Because
Um,
yeah, scoring point
that's
guards are
actually
tend to have
interesting.
less help offensively because the better scorers around the league are usually better than the scoring point guard on their team that they have as the best scorer. So that means if he's the
Yeah.
best scorer, then that means the offensive cast around him is probably relatively weak. But
Because
yeah,
if you're the
defense.
number one option scorer as a point guard, bro, you're scoring monster like the
Yeah,
numbers are monster numbers. Because
yeah,
you can have 23, 24 points and your wing is averaging 27, you know?
yeah, for sure.
But if you're a guard, like to be the best, you damn near have to put up at least 25, like 26 up. You feel me? Like you can't
Yeah.
be at 24 because you feel me? Somebody
So
like
do you
Chris
believe?
Middleton
So
can be
I'm
your
guessing
wing.
you
He can
guys
average
are gonna
23.
say that um the point when it comes to point guards, what you want really is a playmaking guard because they have the highest floor and ceiling. Is that what you're probably gonna say?
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
I
All right,
want.
all right, fair
I
enough.
would say defense to the lowest, but as the highest, I
I
think.
mean, lowest when I said not the lowest floor. I think I meant the highest floor and the highest ceiling. Did I not say that,
Yeah, you did.
You probably did. You probably did.
bruh? All right. Okay. Next is shooting guard. So, what's your opinion on your shooting guard playmaking, scoring, and defense?
I want my
Since we
shooting
did
guard to
scoring
be
the first
I
time,
think.
let's do
score.
shoot. Let's do defender. The defense.
Yeah, I think that's the best. I think that's the best one to pick out of all the rest. As a defender,
Oh, okay.
as a playmaking guard, you could fit that on side of a scoring guard. It for the floor, it's probably the highest floor and probably the highest ceiling. I would say.
For
Why
me,
though? Why do you think? Why do you think a
like,
guard, a shooting guard, has the highest floor and ceiling? Though you need to go into a little bit
No,
more.
I'm talking about just for the defensive shooting guard. Like player like the shooting guard, what you call it? Shooting guard position. If you build a good team around the shooting guards, as in you could build a playmaker as the point guard, a defensive shooting guard. Because most likely the defensive shooting guard, they're gonna be able to score. They're gonna be able to uh most of them gonna be able to score at least a low level, at least 10 points.
Yeah, when I think of defensive shooting guards, I think of not Jason Kidd level bad scorers, but let's
Yeah,
not say Gary Payton level scorer.
yeah,
Something like a John Stockton level, maybe even a little bit
yeah.
less than
That's
that.
who I was.
It has to be
That and
respectable, right? Like you
oh
can't just ignore him, type shit.
John Stockton is a little too high. I feel
Yeah,
like
that's what I said. John Stockton or probably less than that. Like you need
I
to.
would
It's
say somebody like
respectable.
Avery Bradley is a good person.
Okay, fair enough. I'm
His
just
defense
saying
is a
like a
lot better than his offense, but he could give you like 13. You know what I mean?
yeah, that's what I think. A good defensive guard could give you at least 10 points per game. Uh, at least a decent facilitator that could pass the ball. They're gonna have the playmaking bag already. At least decent playmaking.
playmaking badge.
Defensive.
I said bag.
Oh, bag.
Yeah.
Oh. My bad. I'm used to you doing some shit, so carry on.
I think this is a tougher one because I think shooting guard is one of the few positions. Well, I'm only thinking about this now, so maybe I'm wrong. Right now, when I'm thinking about it, it's the only position I feel like where none of them are bad. Like none of the options are bad ones. Like if a defensive shooting guard on a championship team is the best defender, that's okay. Like I'm cool with that because your shooting guard can be anywhere from 6'4" to 6'7". You feel what I'm saying? Like so,
Mm-hmm.
you know, when you get into those, not like offensively, but defensively, when you get to those Matisse Bible type of guys
Yeah,
who, you know, they can defend pretty much everybody at the perimeter and, you know, they can figure their way around like defending a four, you know what I'm saying? Or being in the post and not really being soft in the post. Like I can hold my own. So, but I definitely think it's still second to last. I think shooting guard, bro, you probably want him to be a scorer. Like I think that should be the common number one. Or
I
at
think
least someone who can shoot the ball a lot.
I do understand. Like to add on to you, 6'4", 6'7" is around the size, and like you can actually put on the mass to be hanging with the threes and fours. Well, the threes specifically. Like as a two, you can actually probably guard one through three. So that's enough value you can bring on the defensive end to be probably a defensive number one.
Yes.
Because at least you're actually given enough value to deal with three.
And when you're athletic, it helps. Like somebody like Anthony Edwards, like you can get him on a smaller floor because he's an athlete, you know.
Exactly. But like for example, right, for a point guard, when they're usually 6 foot to 6'3", the height advantage is usually just too much for them to really, you know.
Once they get to shooting guard, they are already out of their range.
Exactly.
Depending on who it is, like you might get a Donovan Mitchell here and there, but when you get a Devin Booker and a Zach LaVine, like what are you gonna do?
That's exactly what I'm trying to go into. So I do get what you're saying on that standpoint, and that's why I do believe. Really, I think defensive guards are. I'm not gonna lie to you. I think they are gonna be tied with me for the next position that we're gonna talk about, which is playmaking, the playmakers. Yeah, what?
Hold on. I think the scoring shooting guard. I think that's probably the least conducive to winning.
What?
I think that's the least conducive to winning.
What made you say that?
When you look at players like Harden, you could I get all depends the team, but when you look at players like AI, Harden, they just.
But that's not due to them being shooting guards. That's due to the way that they play.
Yeah, which is the scoring guard, the scoring shooting guard.
But they not like that's not. I'm not gonna say that's not
I'm
how
not gonna
shooting
lie to
guards
you.
score, but it ain't like
I think
shooting guards aren't
Harden and
usually the
AI are
ball
more.
dominant dudes. Like, you feel me?
I feel
Wait,
like
what?
Harden and AI are more
The
hybrids,
the
and then I
only
think
the
AI is
yeah
more.
they definitely hybrids. But the thing is
Yeah.
with the shooting guards that can score, like you could say a Joe Dumars, like them type of archetypes, like Joe Dumars is the outlier, I think, in that situation.
What you
Like
mean?
most scoring
You know,
shooting,
Kobe and Jordan are shooting guards, Moo.
yes, but also outliers. That's because they were so great. Like how we saying how Curry is so great, because these players are so great and they have a team built around them that they could facilitate and play good at the same time.
I don't know, bro. I don't know what you're trying to. I ain't gonna lie. I don't know what you're trying to say.
I
I
I
think
personally think
the scoring shooting guard is like that's what you want your shooting guard to do on your championship team. Am I wrong?
Yeah, for sure you want them to score, but because it's in the name, shooting guard. But I think that's the most least conducive to winning when we
Oh,
when we look back in
right.
history.
You would rather your shooting guard play make?
No, I don't think playmaking is the. I think defense, and I think Jordan and Kobe, they the hybrids of the defense and the the defense and the scoring guard. I think they hybrids between that. So I think solid scoring guards are non-conducive to winning.
Hmm. Khalil, what you think, bro?
before Khalil goes, because I think he's still a bit busy. I
Yeah, he
do
on.
think I know what Moo is saying. He's essentially saying because of Jordan. Firstly, Jordan and Kobe. Yes, we know them as one of the best scorers of all time, but you also can't ignore, for example, Kobe. Although this is not in his peak, in his younger years, he was one of the best defensive guards in the league. And for Jordan,
Yeah.
even in his peak, he was one of the best defensive guards in the league. And he's been one of the best defensive guards in the league for a long period of time. So they're hybrids in the sense that like, they mix the scoring and the defensive part, and really and truly, they actually mix all three
I
because
want to make clear, I'm not confused about the scoring shooting guard. Like, I'm not arguing for it to be the most conducive to winning out of all positions.
Mhm.
What I'm saying is, he said that he thinks it's the worst one. Like, the worst
that
option to pick is a scoring shooting guard. I don't think as many scoring shooting guards have been on great teams and gotten close to winning, and obviously they did lose, but I don't see how it could be the worst, like the worst option.
What great ones though, other than Jordan and Kobe, which is hybrids to
But you got shooting
defense.
guards like that just didn't get to the finals, but they made like
I
they got
know,
stopped by
but when
either
we say
players just simply
conducive to
better than them,
winning,
or
that means you
like
gotta win the
that is true.
championship.
I don't know if you. So then there's really like all positions don't have a bunch of people that did that because, bro, there's 20, there's
If
like
we talking
40
about
rings in the
regular
league.
season or making it far in the playoffs, that's cool. But
Well,
when we say conducive to winning, we mean
but they,
winning.
I
Then
get
you
winning. I
only
do get what you're
win
saying,
if
but
you win the championship.
I get you, but we can only talk about the championship so much because, bro, like 80% of
But
the
you,
championships are owned by like the same 5 people. Like, you know what I'm
yes,
saying? So
that's
like
cool. But also
then the
when you
discussion
name the
becomes
scoring
pointless.
guards, you name Jordan and Kobe, which is people who is like you said, 80% of the people who won.
That's why I'm saying it's not the worst because if we're
So
talking about winning
you
championships,
can't name the outlier hybrids and
we only
say
have the
they
people
are
that we can
conducive
choose
to
from.
winning.
For
We only have the
example,
people that
funny,
we can
right?
choose
Listen,
from.
listen, listen, listen. For example, funny, right? When we spoke about playmaking guards, right? When we said that Magic was an outlier, we was talking about
Yeah.
his height, not necessarily his archetype.
Yo, Khalil,
No,
Yeah.
I get what you're saying,
look in
but this is
chat.
what I'm saying. If we are only speaking in a championship context, we would have to then just look at the people who won rings and look at like what position were they, what type of player were they? Because there's the same 20 people own championships in this league. Like so I'm thinking winning, like just overall, like you can be on a team and your team win. Like you're not a losing team. Like I see losing teams as teams that are at the bottom of brackets. But if we're going straight off championships, that changes my whole outlook, because now I have to look at the people that
But
won championships and what kind of player they were.
but the thing is with that, when you also bring up like when you said the scoring guards and the small guards, you also brought up people like Steph. Like
No, but I also
you
brought up
said
people
that's
like Chris Paul who
outliers
didn't
when
win. That's why I thought we were just talking about winning, period. Like, because I was talking about Chris Paul the whole time.
yes. So that's why we talking about winning, period.
Oh, I don't know then, because
I
then
guess you two might have this different thoughts on what's winning is.
well maybe I just misunderstood, because
Mhm.
honestly, I'm asking because, like I said,
When I speak about winning, I mean as a full front. It doesn't matter if it's just in play. What's called in playoff situations. It has to matter because that's what teams are trying to look for at the end of the day. They're trying to win a chip. But I'm also talking about the regular season as well. So
yeah,
really, and
that's what
truly,
I thought we were. That's the direction I thought we was on. Like,
For sure.
you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Winning isn't just strictly a championship.
yeah, of
Yeah,
course,
because if it is,
it
then
just
we just
means
have to
winning
look
a
at the
basketball
people
game.
that have the rings, and then just be like, okay, what type of player are you, and how many of you are there
Yeah.
that won championships?
All
know
you
what I'm
can
saying?
really ask for
Yeah.
is how much a nigga can help you to be able to be in
Yeah,
contention of
like,
winning
are
a
you
ring. Because
able
there's so
to
But
many different
beat? If
factors
the
I
that
had
point
the
they
is
that
with
the
freedom,
players
that,
can't even control of winning a
the
if I
ring.
fault
had the
with
freedom
that
to
is
build a
when y'all
team,
name the outliers, y'all name the outliers that won a championship.
That's because weren't you asking what dudes actually won the championship as a
yeah,
scoring shooting
and
guard
Xeno was
No,
as the best player?
explaining
we was
who.
saying okay, cool.
No, he
We
was
was saying
explaining who
the
the outliers were. He wasn't talking about them. He was just saying like,
those are the outliers. Am I
yeah,
Yes,
correct?
but he wasn't
Yeah,
using that as a point of reference
I
to
wasn't. I
winning.
was
yeah.
just
I'm
saying, for
not saying that
example,
was example or reference. I'm just saying when we talk about these, let's say the scoring point guards or anything, y'all say okay. When we think about the scoring guards, they got players like Steph, they got players like Isaiah, they got scoring guards. That's all scoring guards. And y'all use that as outliers, as in, okay, that's not those outliers. Everybody else in the tunnel are just, I would say, just mid. That's not really conducive to win.
I'm so
No,
Oh, I
I'm
know what he's saying. I know what he's saying
confused.
now. He's saying for the point guards, we said they weren't really that conducive to winning for a scoring point guard aside from Steph. Other than for shooting guards, we're saying they are conducive to winning from like
No,
two
that's
people.
not what I was saying.
That's
I'm saying,
that's what he thinks. We're
no,
saying.
this is what it is. The point of bringing up Steph was not to show that the other people are mid that didn't do what he did. It's to show how good at it you have to be to win.
Yeah, and
And
that's why we bring up players like
even though
MJ
you aren't that
and
good,
these other
you're
players.
still conducive to winning though. Like
I
Damian
know,
Lillard is
and
not
that's
that good.
why when we said the scoring shooting guards, we brought up players like MJ and other players because these players are some of the best in the world,
I
But
should
you
have
and
think it's
they
the
are.
worst
I
archetype
should
to
have really
be?
asked about this, and it just came up into my mind. Do we all agree that really and truly point guards are never going to be okay? Rarely they're going to be the best player on the championship team. So for point guards, we're really
Yeah.
going to
No
look at
matter
them
what
as
they're
the second.
doing, no matter what they're doing. So the point
Yeah, so
guard list,
essentially we're going to be thinking of
yeah.
them as the second best player on their team.
If
Yes,
the point guard not playing, that's just a bad option, period. Like,
exactly. So for the most
so
part,
we shouldn't
we're
use
thinking of
that
the point guards
against you.
as the second option. Now, when it comes to the shooting guards, we think that they could possibly be the what's called a number one option because
Woo,
of the
you
fact they have
echoing,
more
bro.
size, and yeah, someone's echoing. Also, they
Yeah,
have more size, and then also the ability um
yeah.
for them to be able to guard up from 1 to 3, most likely, and some small fours. Um, we haven't spoke about the playmaking part, but the scoring part, I just think because they're bigger and they may not have the same athleticism as the small like the point guards, but they have enough athleticism to blow by the fours and fives, and they might have enough size to bang with the threes and twos, and then the
Yeah,
one they can always bring it to the post. Yes.
it being the worst, scoring being the worst one to me is like, I ain't gonna lie, that's some bullshit. That don't make sense to me.
I think it's arguable. I think what's called when it comes to the shooting guard, I think it's arguable between all three. I actually think all three is a viable path.
I think if we're talking about the worst, like the one we've seen the least, where it's like, okay, this is the best, this on the
Playmaker?
team. Yeah, this playmaking. Because not because they can't do it, they did like they aren't asked. Like you've got the point guard already, and we're still in the league where the point guard is the playmaker for most teams. So like I just think shooting guard would just be the worst because they don't do it.
Yeah.
Oh wait, I
The
get
only
it.
argument
Your
would
shooting
really
guard
be
not being a
Kobe's
good
Lakers
playmaker
and, like,
is okay. Like Zach LaVine, people think he's cold as hell, and they feel like you could build a team around him to win, and he don't pass the ball at all because it's
I do
natural.
agree. I'm starting to understand where you're coming from. You're just essentially saying, well, the need for playmaking on every team usually is already used or needed. Wait,
Yeah.
it's already
If it's not
filled.
from the
It's
one,
already
it's from the
filled.
three.
So go ahead.
If it's not from the one, it's usually from the three. It literally, point guard, point forward. We've never heard like the two be that person. D Wade did it, but he was a point guard when he did it though. Like he was considered a point guard.
Fair enough. So essentially, you're saying this, yeah, like I told you, like I'm trying to clarify. At the end of the day, shooting guards, the need for playmaking is either used already done by the point guard or the small forward. Essentially, saying he has no need to be playmaking because someone on his team is already playmaking.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah,
That's a good what you call it. But that's a good.
Even the ones that are second options, like look at Clay. He's literally one of the worst playmakers on his team. He doesn't have to be a good one though. Somebody else can do it. We just need you to shoot that hole.
Yeah, but he also was a hybrid when they was conducive to winning. Also.
Yeah, because he was a
Yeah, but it
scorer.
was
He a
defense. It
scorer
was
defense.
defense, which is
know.
why I
That's
said
what I'm saying.
defense
Like,
is not the worst.
But
I
even
know. That's
even
why
then,
I said
when you
defense.
sit down and
That's
think
why
like
I
a
think
traditional
defense is-
wait, if you think about a traditional scoring point a shooting guard like Ray Allen, you still can see that he's like his type of archetype is more conducive to winning than a defensive guard. Actually, I actually don't know about that now. I think about it because really and truly, what's your opinion on Sidney Moncrief? Because I think him be one of the best like defensive shooting guards that we've ever seen. I think that he actually he possibly could have brought more value. But then again, see, now I'm just like sat down and I'm constantly flipping my head over because Sidney
That's why I
Moncrief
like
is a
defensive
3-point
shooting guard.
Go
Yeah,
ahead.
none of them are bad.
I said that's
think
why I was
they
saying
aren't bad.
I really like the defensive shooting guard as one of the best, conducive to winning. Because even though they the hybrid, as in scoring and defensive, they still technically they show the defensive side.
It's just that unless you have like a 3-and-D shooting guard, that actually might be the more I think about it, I think I'm sided more with Mu because if you're that great as a sorry, I'm getting a phlegm. If you're that great as a defensive player and then also being able to space the floor as a 3-point shooter, I think that is that provides so much value on a team that's probably going to have shot creation from either your 3 or your point guard as well, because usually point guards have some levels of shot creation. So you being able to provide like really great to probably the best defender on your team levels of defense is very valuable in my opinion. I'm actually go with defensive guard now. The more move.
No, I agree. I think defensive and scoring are the top two. Now, I'm not debating whether defense is good. I think that was great, but scoring being the worst one to me is I don't get it. Like, I don't.
Yeah, I mean,
don't
even
get
archetypes like what Sidney Moncrief. What was that brought up for? Like the best defender on the team?
So again,
yeah, I would assume so.
You brought up Sidney Moncrief because what he was the best defender on the Bucks team.
I think he was at least arguably.
No, he definitely was. But I'm saying like even a guy like Sidney Moncrief, who even still have significant defensive help around him, like bro, you get in the playoffs and you like the Bucks offense just can't do anything. They can't beat the Sixers because they have no options offensively aside from Terry Cunningham Terry Cunningham post ups and Sidney Moncrief like transition points or anything like that. So that's like to me those defensive guards being the best defender on the team rarely works. Like it never happens, bro. And even then, the Bucks defense was fine because they still had Marcus Johnson right next to him. So like,
because scoring is
Yeah, I'm
such an
not tripping
important
with
part
them
of
being
being a
the
shooting
the
guard.
best defensive piece on the team, but that wasn't the point that I was making. That they would be the best
Well,
defense.
that's what Xeno's.
Yeah, I
That's what
know,
I'm saying.
but I do think they bring the most value as in a player.
But then, if you think they're the most valuable, do you think from a first option or second option wise, where do you think they could be then? The best defender on the team, like the best.
Yeah, the second best, probably the second best defender on the team.
But I think Funny is explaining to you that he thinks that the scoring point and the
Yeah,
scoring.
I get his point on the scoring guard and what you call it.
All right,
And if
then.
you're a second option, how valuable? I don't
And
think
not
a second option defender could be more valuable than a first option scorer. Is that possible?
Mm-mm.
I don't
Wait,
think
what?
that's possible.
Wait, what you said?
Because with what you're saying, you're basically saying like you find more value in being a second option defender as a shooting guard than being a first option scorer
Yeah,
as a shooting guard.
because most of the time you're gonna be the either POA or you're gonna be guarding the guards, which probably the best guard in the league, and the center probably gonna be the best defender on the team.
So like you would value somebody like I don't know because how good offensively are you making them like because again the lowest
Like I
level
said,
of
like
shooting
10
guard
points per game.
I'll be real with you. What I see from a defensive guard, I want to see it as like they have a respectable offensive game, not a game where like okay they're star level or anything like that. Like a game that you can't disrespect, whether
because
they're they're
respectable
like
for shooting guards is it a different scale because they're shooting guards, so their job is to already be like inherently an offensive person. So like, are we talking like Klay Thompson? Because Klay Thompson was
no,
giving
that's
you
too
like
much.
a dub.
That's too
Or are
much.
we talking like Tim Hardaway Jr. or something like that? Like who are we talking?
I'll have
Who
to
or
carry on
we
with the
talk like
conversation. I'll sit down and talk about it. 1 second. I just have to sit down and think about it. Because what you just said actually did just really make me sit down and think now.
because obviously somebody like play as a second
What about
option is
Drew?
somebody
What
better
about
than
Drew?
him.
Like a Drew Holiday type game.
See, that's the thing though. I wouldn't
Offensively.
really that's pretty damn good on offense, man.
You really think so?
Bro, yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like
especially of how much of a player dropper he is.
I mean, yeah, but that doesn't make him like a bad offensive player. Like
Yeah, but I don't. I
if he
genuinely
called,
think that's around fair enough for.
I'm thinking more like Matt Barnes and Steve, like and like Ron Artest, but the shooting guard version of those guys. Like not Lakers, but like defensive Ron Artest, not Pacers. I'm thinking more like
if you do that, then well, of course, the shooting. I feel like the scoring shooting guard would be better because of the fact that him being a neutral or a slight positive on defense and like a mid playmaker, but being this best scorer on his team is going to provide a lot more value than a defensive guard. Because even though this shooting guard is just mid, you're not bleeding any value on the defensive end while also being able to affect your team on the scoring side way more. And also, we all know that defense is valued less than offense.
I do understand that Drew's a playoff dropper though, so like I get what you mean. Yeah. But like at the end of the day, bro, that nigga giving you an efficient 19, like that's good. Like, bro, that's really good. Like that's good, man. That like as a player
Yeah,
offensively, he's good.
You see why I said that this conversation when I sat down and think about it, it's going to be a bit more in the
If
air.
we talking like
it's a lot more of
Nuance.
which I do change my what you call it, because I do think playmaking will be the word now that he explained it, which I
The
do
playmaking
think
makes much more sense. Yeah.
players play like the most of them hybrid players that get the scoring load.
yeah, and it's not necessarily because like it's hard to find that type of shooting guard because like I said before,
Yeah, because most of them
their
hybrid.
scores just in
That's what I
nature,
think.
you know.
Yeah, most of
Yeah.
them just scores at they first what you call it.
Yeah, so
Then
they're
they
never gonna like you're never gonna
yeah.
find like finding a Matisse Thybulle type of dude at shooting guard is like difficult, like because that's just you're a tool. Like this has never been your job to not be a valuable offensive player. Like that's just never been your job.
Oh yeah, for sure. And even then, the best playmaking shooting guards are usually the best scoring shooting guards anyway.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
the thing is with Matisse is he's not good at damn near
Offense. He's
yeah.
horrible.
yeah. Offensively,
Anything
he's
This is
offensively
coming from
he's
a
bad
Philly
at.
fan.
yeah.
He
Offensively,
is
he stinks.
he's
He's
not
bad.
good in transition.
Any
He's
like
really the
don't
only really
they
thing
tried to
he's
put him in the dunker spot. He's not effective there.
because he
Uh
sometimes fumbles the ball. He's not good finishing
yeah.
at the rim.
Yeah,
He has no real like he also can't cut to the rim well. He's not like a great cutter or anything like that. He doesn't give you enough value on the offensive end. Really and truly, he's like a guard version of Vando, but unironically, Vando gives more value on the offensive end due to the fact that he's actually a very tenacious offensive rebounder. So he's actually giving you some value there. Plus,
you talking
he's
about
actually
Rajon
really good.
Rondo?
No, Vanderbilt.
I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I ain't gonna lie, not too much on Vando offense, man. I've been hearing that word all
Yeah,
summer.
Vando's offense is pretty poop, man. It's pretty
Oh
poop.
no,
I mean,
he's
it's, I
ass
mean,
too.
I'm not gonna lie.
I'm
I'm
saying
not
I mean,
gonna
it's
lie.
bad. It's bad, but like it's only bad because he can't shoot. Like everything else,
Yeah,
like he
Exactly,
knows when to
Phil. That's
crash
what
for
I'm
the
And
saying.
offensive glass. He knows when
he's
to
good in the
cut.
dunker spot
Phil,
too. He's all right in the
what
dunker
you're
spot.
saying, what you guys are saying is what I'm trying to say. I'm
I
saying,
know. You're saying no, but I know. You said he's like a guard Vando, but I'm
yeah,
saying
I'm
like,
trying to get. I was actually getting onto the fact that Vando is a. I told you, I was saying that
Yeah,
he's a great
he's even
offensive
worse than
rebounder.
Vando. That was
He's
the
actually
point
a
he trying to
decent
make. He's
playmaker
worse.
as
I
well.
know that. I know that's the point he was trying to make, but I'm saying like, there's definitely way worse offensive front court players than Vando. I'm not
Then
gonna cap.
for sure.
Oh, yeah,
No, but
because
I'm
Matisse
talking about
Thybulle
the
is one of
archetype that
them.
they're in, no, because they're kind
So
of
what?
like defensive wings.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, that's why I was bringing that up. That's all the only thing I was bringing up.
Okay, yeah, but I wanted to shine some light on Vando's passing, transition,
Yeah.
rebounding, cutting. He really just got to
Speaking of
learn
the
how to
Lakers,
shoot.
fuck Austin Reeves. That nigga's whack.
All
But
right, bro.
Rudy,
All right, next topic.
niggas
Yeah,
ain't
man.
that nigga whack.
I can't wait until what's it
Stop.
called Austin Reeves 22. Was it 2022 to 2023?
Lakers fans
The
got a
sanity
different
run.
white boy every season, man.
Exactly. All I know is that 2022-2023 run, that insanity run is over, man. That's all I want to hear. But
Yeah.
back to what we're talking about.
Just
So, what
lying.
would be your guys' in order? What do you think is the highest ceiling?
Scoring, defense,
Scoring defense. Yeah, like that. Scoring defense, playmaking.
What about you, Moo?
What you said? What you said, my man?
This guy.
My bad.
What do you think is the highest ceiling in order?
High ceiling. I would say probably defensive scoring.
Playmaking.
Yeah, then playmaking.
For me, I'm not gonna lie to you, because when Funny told us about the playmaking part, that gave me such a click in the head. That yeah, that's easily the weakest then.
Yeah.
But then I think what's gonna be really hard is the small forwards. I can't wait until we talk about the small forwards. But I actually will just sit down and say scoring, defense, then playmaking is what I would say. But I already brought up the names, but the next one we're gonna go on to is the small forwards. Actually, I'm also bad because I've been an L host because I didn't actually create a banner for this. So That's nice.
Small forwards.
Small forwards is tough because I feel like they're all close,
Tough.
really.
Exactly.
Yeah,
That's how
I
It's
think they're all
tough.
close.
It is. I'm gonna go out the way and say I'm gonna just say scoring. I'm gonna just be the first person to say I'm gonna put my flag on scoring because not because playmaking is bad or not arguably the best one. I just think it's a little more rare to be very good at it. Like I feel like to be a small forward and be the best playmaker and like be the best way to win, you have to be really, really good at it. Like you have to be elite, like maybe top 10 in the league. If you're not, you're kind of like DeMar DeRozan. Like you're a good playmaker, but you don't really care that you do it. Like you're good at it, but it's not.
DeMar DeRozan is more scoring than a playmaker. He's kind of a hybrid, but the issue with DeMar DeRozan is more due to the fact he doesn't have a 3-point shot. So
No, I know. No, what I'm saying is he is a hybrid, but I'm saying the level in which his playmaking is at is like you can't be that level of playmaker at the small forward. You've got to be like way higher than that. And I think that's just more rare to see. Like we don't be seeing like Luka. Like without saying Luka and LeBron, name a small forward that's a good enough playmaker to win on a championship team.
Paul George, peak Paul George.
And look at Paul George.
You're saying no, but you're saying Funny saying he has to be the best playmaker on. You think Paul George could be
he has
the
to
best
be.
playmaker on a championship
you're
team?
right. He had Westbrook on his team. You're right. My fault. I was just thinking in a vacuum.
Paul George is the guy that needs to be
happen?
playmaker for anyway, scoring wise.
Yeah,
But like, bro, yeah, I don't want to do the same exact order as I did for shooting guard. Really,
yeah, but it's really like that.
It is really like that because even when you think of the best scorers in the NBA in the regular season and playoffs, majority of them are wing players because they're a good combination of both. They're a good combination.
Yeah,
and then they also have the ability to really dominate in a transition as well.
Being able to shoot, get to the rim, get to their midi while still being able to create on the ball. As in other positions, they always lack one of those things. But wings are usually just the best scorers in the NBA. And then defensively, they are the most versatile position in the NBA too, because some of them are really good at help side rim protection, and some of them are really good on switching on the ones, and some of them are really good on locking down their man 1-on-1 for the wings.
Lengthy. This is where the league starts to get taller.
That's why everyone thinks it's a wings league because they can really do everything that you want them to do across the floor. That's why some teams will run a small forward at the 2, 3, and 4.
Especially with the freedom now.
And most small forwards are just all around.
I was going to add up to that. Really and truly, if you really sit down and think about it, small forward throughout history have always been the jack of all trades type of concept.
Yes.
But they've pretty much been good at every facet of the game. That's usually really what their build is about.
And they've always been like even when they weren't doing that, they were always able to do that. The league was just different, like it wasn't for them. Like now that people are more believe in more taller players that can do it all, and they actually like have faith in that. It's just becoming even more of a wings league. Like it just like the wings started to be the people that are the best.
If I really sit down and think about it, right, when you start to really sit down and really look at like the top, not even the top 10s, just think about looking more and more into like the greatest players of all time. You start looking at how there are a lot of small forwards in there, and the reason why is because they're tall enough to be great defenders, great playmakers, great scorers. They have the ability to do pretty much everything on the basketball court that you ask them to. They can impact the team way more than guards can do. Bigs usually have an issue of really being able to be efficient from the 3-point line. Usually they're not really good shot creators from there. And then when it comes to like I told you, guards always have an issue because they're usually the smallest on the court, and they don't have the ability to mismatch on people other than really big bigs or the bigs that are immobile. They usually
like time is a factor as well, because people like Kevin Durant and LeBron, let's just say LeBron because it's about playmaking. Obviously, LeBron is one of the best playmakers ever at the forward spot. But teams back then, I would probably say like the first half of his career, like the first 7 years in Cleveland, like, yeah, he's a great playmaker at the three, but other teams are not giving their threes that freedom to do that. So everybody's just catching up now. Like, it is a copycat league, but these things take a while. Like, these things don't happen overnight. So I think the emergence of, like, Paul George is going to help this cause, and Cade is going to help this cause, and Luke is going to help this cause, where if we have this conversation 10 years from now, playmaking small forwards might be more frequent, and that are primary playmakers where they don't score a lot, but they're still the best player on their team. It'll be more frequent later. But right now, it's still like, we're still somewhat in a guards league. It's either a guard or you're 7'5". You know what I'm saying? Like, we're still kind of.
I'm really like starting to really sit down and think about what you're saying about the wings, because when I'm really looking down at these teams, there really ain't a primary playmaker as a wing. I was called as a small forward. Really isn't. There's only LeBron is not a small forward. They're power forward. So when I really sit down,
LeBron do it, but he's not the norm. So the league's not following that way.
Yeah, but like when you sit down and think about it, really, other than like maybe what's his name? What's the guy on the Pelicans? Brandon Ingram.
Yeah,
and even he, I don't think he's the main ball handler. I would say it's more Zion, but Zion's always injured. Really, I'm trying to look through these teams and find a small forward that's really ball handling. Oh, Chris Middleton, but this season, Chris Middleton is not the ball handler that he once was. Yeah. It really is.
It's showing now later in the league. Like, if you look at what was I just about to say? If you look at DeMar, I keep using DeMar as an example because he picked up playmaking later in his career. He picked it up because like it's available like to him now. Like a team looking at him and being like, you could be our three and run our offense. Like, that wasn't happening for him like back then. Like, he always needed that point guard to kind of give him the rock and so and so. But you're looking at people like, even like Jason Tatum, he's not the best playmaker, but you see the Celtics giving him the ball and being like, okay, make plays. Like, you need to get better at this. Before,
Jimmy Butler's another.
When Kawhi was coming up, that was not the case. It was, bro, get the ball in your spot and make a move and score, Like, you could pass every now and then, but you're not going to be the primary by any means.
Yeah. Jimmy Butler is another one that's also primary playmaker on his team.
And he also picked that up later in his game, too. He didn't come in with that. Like, Bulls Jimmy was not a playmaker.
For sure.
Like, he picked that up when he got that freedom. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, most teams really don't have a primary playmaker as a small forward.
They
agree.
Still don't believe in it. Like, it's either you're going to play make at 7 foot or play make at 6'4". Like, you're not going to be like 6'9". I mean, now you are like Luka and Cade, but look at how long that took. LeBron been in the league since 2004.
I wanna go into this though. I know you guys will go scoring. I actually not gonna believe that. I think the defensive wing is actually the best. I think they have the highest peak. I think
I like your answer.
Huh?
I said I like your answer. Shout out to Bruce Bowen.
Because I actually think being a guard, I was called a small forward, 6'7" to like 6'10", is enough versatility to really impact the defense from a 1 to 5 level. Of course, you're not going to be able to guard ones the same way twos can, and of course, you're not going to be able to guard fives the way fours can. But you have the ability to guard up on all 5 positions at a relatively good to great level. In fact, I would say a great to elite level, which means that you have probably the biggest scope for being the biggest scope to impact your team on a defensive level. I think you can run them like as the POA, you can run them as the help side. I think the fact that you can that they can really guard up on all positions is just valuable in general. They can also be really good rebounders, which I know we haven't really spoken much about, but the reason why I want to bring that up is because I actually think it's called debounding. Rebounding is a lot helps a lot on defense because you're closing the possession, and for them to be good defense rebounders actually does help you close out possessions, which could be really needy in the clutch. So actually,
that's the most important part of defense because it's the only that is the 100% certain. I just gave us a possession. I closed it out because you can guard somebody as best you want with your skills, and they still make it. But defensive rebounding can be argued as the most important part of the defense because you're actually getting the possession from the defense you played.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so that's why I would say what's called. I didn't even bring up the fact that the ability to be so switchable on defense opens up so much different types of defensive archetypes you can build around your team through that specific wing defense.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That's the other thing.
You make your defense way more easy to be like schemed. Like you can you allow so many different defensive sets that open up when your wings are able to guard across the entire court. That you can help maximize all the other niggas on your team. That's why people like when Andrew Wiggins comes to the Warriors, they start running much more different aggressive defensive schemes, even though their lack of height in rim protection, because Draymond can actually help protect the rim. Wiggins can play help side. Then even you can hide Curry a little bit.
Exactly what I was going to bring up. With Curry,
and then you add Vandal to the Lakers. The Lakers start being one of the better defensive teams in the league, even though they don't have that much defensive personnel on their team. It's because they can maximize LeBron James as a help side rim protector because he's one of the better wings at that, and he doesn't have to guard wings anymore because he hasn't been good at that. Then now you can maximize D'Lo as a strict communicator and chaser off the ball, and make Reeves just a strict point of attack defender. That makes their defense way better. You add those different defensive wing archetypes that can guard across the floor.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree. And even if you bring up the fact they're not going to be as good as scorers when it comes to scorers, you don't really need to worry about that because as long as your defender can space the floor as your guard, so your wing can space the floor. What is the issue? You really don't.
PJ Tucker still has a job, man, and there's a reason.
So that's why I would personally take defensive small forward, and I'm going to be real with you. I think that's going to be my answer for the next three, but I think that that's the most valuable for them. But what's your opinion?
Defense is this is the reason why I don't say defense, and it might be a cop out. I'm feeling like it's a little bit of a cop out, but I'm just being real because their offensive floor can go so low that it gets too low for me. Like we've seen a handful of like Oscar Robersons and Matisses and fours that, and Vandal's a great defender, but bro, like it'll be times where he just can't be on the floor offensively, bro. Like
but the thing is, and why I have to say that I disagree with you, it's because Andre Roberson being the best defender on your team, I agree with you. But even when he was on the court, he was providing so much value to you as a defender that you can keep on the court, even though he had issues on the defensive end. But when it comes to Vando, he's not been the best defender on his team. I think outside of maybe the Timberwolves, so you can't really use that. Because
the thing is, with Vando didn't have any role on a team outside the Timberwolves, and he was the best defender for Utah when Walker Kessler was coming off the bench.
It's not about winning, and on those teams, he never really had defensive comp around him to really see how much his defense can actually impact winning. That's why I'm not going to talk about stuff like fucking Zach LaVine. When Zach LaVine doesn't have the competent offensive pieces around him to really,
I think defense.
But the thing is, what Funny said, defensive wings who don't provide you anything on offense can also hurt your team more than it helps you. And I don't think that's really. I don't think you can find a scoring small forward that can hurt your team more than he helps you, unless he's
they will. Because
I feel like that's I agree with what Funny says at the start. Then because that is a cop out. Because really and truly, you can say the same shit for wings. Wings can get to so bad defensively that they don't provide you anything on.
But who though?
Be a negative.
Yeah, I was to say like who.
That is true though, because it's kind of hard to do so as a wing.
We have to give the opposite.
Because you got
the only one I can really sit down and think of is like DeRozan.
But he really naturally not a wing.
His defense is trash, but he's still be on the floor.
He's still always going to be a positive as a scorer. Yeah. I mean, even when he's missing, like he's not gonna hurt your team. Like he's not gonna bleed your defense that bad where he just has to get off the court.
But let's even
damn near
take a
every
look at
series he's
somebody
playing.
like Ben Simmons, bro, who is a 3 and 4. His offensive woes mentally got so bad where it's like, damn, bro, like we can't even, you're not even valuable. Like defensively, you're great and we need you, but damn, it's 4v5 on the other side, and a team could only take so much of that, like to the point where we just have to go with the worst, even if that score is not very good. Like we still have to go with him. Like we still got to put Nicholas Batum in, bro, because you literally cannot hit a shot.
Sorry, Karen.
Like you literally cannot hit a shot. Like you can't hit one. Like it just gets real. It can get really bad. But that's kind of how it was going to get for Bruce Brown if he didn't get to the Nuggets. His offense was so bad that like he was going to become invaluable after a while.
Bruce Brown was invaluable because if you really paid attention to him throughout playoff series, he was actually serviceable as an offensive player.
Yeah, and I think the Nuggets with Jokic and having that much space, and it helped them. You know what I'm saying? But if he would never ended up there, bro, like people would have looked at him like, "Damn, bro, your offense is bad, like real bad."
The funny thing is, if you really watched that playoff series against, what team he was playing against? But the way that the Nets were using him, they were using him as a fucking 6'6" fucking big. Like,
yeah,
who
he
is
was.
using Bruce Brown as a fucking big? They're playing Keenan Allen. Like, what?
Yeah, I seen that. It was getting bad over there. So maybe Bruce Brown.
I feel like the reason why Bruce Brown would have. Yeah, I feel like the reason why Bruce Brown would have been felt that way was because it would have been out of his own control. It was the position and the things that they did for him or made him do, not actually his whole kit as a player. So I think that's a wrong thing to talk about. Really,
defense is still good to me. Don't.
Yeah.
I'm not arguing. We just arguing for first place right now.
Exactly.
Defense is clear second place.
Exactly.
Right, to me, clear. Bruce. I always reference Bruce Bowen, man. Like people, I understand Tim Duncan was back there being an anchor, but people really do not understand how good of a damn defender Bruce Bowen was, bro. Like, and I hate that his legacy's kind of in Tracy McGrady, like torching him in them 13 seconds, him and Tim Duncan. That's a little unfortunate, but like, bro, like he was guarding Kobe, T-Mac, Vince, and giving them some of the like hardest times ever. You know what I'm saying? And it really being that dude for Tim Duncan, where it's like
exactly. Brown was one of the few offensive positives for the Nets in that Celtics series. I agree with that. But then we go on to the scoring small forward since we've talked about the defensive. What's your guys' reasonings for them being the best?
Versatility. Their most scoring forwards are able to do most things when it comes to scoring. They can back to the basket, get mid-range. They're big and strong enough to get to the lane for the most part. Obviously, you have people that aren't, but even somebody with the frame of Kevin Durant's at his peak athleticism, he could get to the rim real well. I just don't think when you have an offensive forward, they are just kind of more keen to being good offensively at other things or scoring at other things. Like they can score from everywhere type deal.
Yeah, I already said my reasoning. It's like the best combination of a guard and a big as a scorer because you can get to the rim, you can get to the middle, you can get to the three. While like most centers, they're not going to be able to hit threes off the pull up, off the dribble at all because they're just regularly just way too tall with too long arms, which makes it way harder for them to shoot. A wing is the best combination of that. They're good in transition, like they can actually create on the ball because they can actually dribble. Like they're not too tall and they're not too short to where they get some of those limitation cutoffs as other positions. That's why I always say the wing is probably the best scorer. And even in NBA history, you look around and the wings are literally the best scorers in the regular season and the playoffs consistently. And it's because of those reasons.
They're just good scores to have, man. They can do it. They're jack of all trades.
I'm just mad because what you're saying is true, and I'm still going to just say the defense. I'll still take defensive small forwards, but the choice that you said and the thing that you said about how the offensive ceiling for defensive guards are so low, And it's annoying me that it's actually so correct what you said, because I really can't sit down and think of like a huge flaw in offensive small forwards, scoring small forward, because I really can't sit down and think of it. Like, what could I say? Like, I could say the fact that they tend to not be good as playmakers that could bleed into their value as scorers. By the way, could you mute yourself? But I could say that tends to bleed into their value as a scorer. But then you could already say, well, if that's the case, they could always just, um, play through their guards, who's probably going to be the playmaker of the team, and they could set him up into a position like in the post, like through a post entry pass, or set them up in transition to really highlight their strengths as a scorer, rather than forcing them into being playmakers in certain situations, which would highlight their weaknesses. So I can't even argue that. Like, that's actually such a great. I'm so annoyed by that, man. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, that's it. And I will give you some grace. Like, small forwards don't be that bad. Like Vando and people like that. Like, I would go as far as to say they're outliers. Like, small forwards usually don't be that bad offensively, but they can get, like, we've seen it. Like, we've seen a lot of small forwards like not be in the league for very long because offensively they.
Wait. What about Kelly Oubre Jr.? I mean, he's a scoring small forward.
How bad is Kelly Oubre scoring really though?
I mean, as a defender, he's not. He's actually kind of bad as a defender.
Yeah, that's true. And
that would definitely be an outlier for sure.
Outlier. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to sit down and think about these things. Now, I ain't trying to lose this shit.
He's an outlier, I would say. Like,
what about Chris Middleton now?
Hell no, he's definitely what? What you mean?
Middleton can score that hole.
He's a scorer, yeah, but you're telling me he's a good defender?
Are you talking about Chris Middleton right now?
Yes.
Yeah, he's not a good defender, but he's still good enough to stay on the court. He's not gonna. Chris Middleton's never gonna get actively played off the court.
His defense is not equal to Vando's offense. No, he's a better defender than Vando is like a scorer. Like, for sure. Like, definitely. DeMar.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie to
DeMar,
you. Yeah, that talking about nasty work. Xeno bringing up that terrorist on both ends, and now that terrorist is coming to the Sixers. Yay! But
he is a Sixer now.
But yeah, because I'm really trying to sit down and think of let's go small forwards. I was going to bring up MPJ, but MPJ brings so much value as a fucking shooter and actually attacking closeouts. And actually in the playoffs, he was actually a decent defender. So you can't even bring.
Not too much on MPJ.
And he's a terrible defender. And I don't think so. Stay on the court.
He was a terrible defender in the regular season.
In the regular season, in the playoffs, he kicked it up.
He moved me.
I agree, because this is the biggest thing that I think of him. I think he's lazy. Like, when he takes shots, he don't be wanting to get back on defense. He don't like transition. But when you slow the game down, he could be a good defender. I just don't think him in transition or have like going up and down a lot, and that's what you do in the regular season, bro. I do not think he likes to do that, bro. Like, personally, because why isn't he a good defender? He's tall as hell, athletic, strong. Like, what's the problem? I just think it's because he just doesn't want to.
I don't think he's. I think he got slower foot speed though, but I don't think he's that athletic. I think he can jump high, or not high. He jumps decently, like, good. But like, he showed that in the playoffs, like in his role, that he can actually help Denver's defense a lot and get Jokic some help outside of.
He should be able to stay in front of people, and in the regular season, bro, he just don't do that.
Oh yeah, for sure. He's not a good one-on-one defender at all.
Which is, to me, that just, like, I get that he has like injuries and stuff, and he might not be the same player, but he should be a little bit of a better defender than he is, though. Like, I feel like sure. He should be a little better, man. Like, you and Zach LaVine shouldn't be the same defender in the regular season. That's not good. I don't know. And Zach LaVine has suffered ACL tears and shit like that.
Yeah,
for sure. People don't talk about how LaVine had an ACL tear in like 2018. He's like damn near the same.
We got to talk about our top three now.
Yeah, man. Most underrated nigga in the league, by the way.
Woo, what's your top three, man? That man on the game. You hear them? Somebody on the game.
Yeah, I can hear that nigga being a terrorist on 2K right now.
He's on the game. My top three scoring. It's the same one. Scoring, defense, playmaking.
Yeah. I said that was gonna be my top three before we started.
And the power forward is gonna change for me. So this is the one that I think is the most debatable. So I'm excited.
Oh my God, that's y'all boys, bro.
I can hear Dub.
Yeah. My bad. I think scoring is the best. I think
I'm back.
I would say defense is probably the worst. And I'll say
What?
Defense is the worst?
Defense,
yeah.
Small forwards.
I think playmaking, that playmaking, what you call it, like players like, you could say LeBron, you could say fuck, forgot who else I wanted to say.
Exactly.
Like you could say Ben. Ben.
You said Ben who? Simmons?
Simmons?
Yeah.
Simmons is a
hell
point guard.
no, boy.
So he's not a playmaker? What?
He is a playmaker, but he was playing point guard.
I
And plus,
guess.
he's an outlier.
Yeah, he's not right.
I know. That's the point. Like the outlier.
Because that's the issue. When we're talking about actual point, like playmaking small forwards,
being a playmaker is your best attribute.
That you can sit down and really think, yes, they're the playmaking point guards. So
and it's your best attribute. Playmaking is not Ben Simmons' best attribute either.
I think at a time it was.
No,
at one time, yes, it was.
It was. I would argue it's only in his rookie season.
Yeah, I have to say, anytime after.
Now I think y'all are chatting.
Anytime after his rookie year, I think
every year before 2021, probably he was definitely more of a playmaker than a defender.
Nah. 2019,
yeah, I think he was more of a defender
because he can't shoot. So how is he like in the half court? He's a garbage playmaker. He's terrible.
No, he's not garbage as a playmaker in the half court, because even as a screen setter, then the short roll, he was still like a really, really great playmaker. And then even the dribble drive penetration,
I wouldn't call him great,
bro.
I wouldn't call him great, man.
He was one of the best playmakers in the league.
I disagree, man. I disagree.
No. More they're talk about. I do agree.
I disagree.
I think the reason why you sit down and say he's not a great playmaker is his inability to really like.
I think he was 7. I would give him the label.
I think he was
because.
Go ahead.
Screen setting is cool and everything, and that is a part of playmaking, but watching them, it could be partly to like Doc Rivers' coaching and like their coaching issues over there, but like
he never played with
the amount of times that like we get on people like Russell Westbrook for things being forced offensively, like passes being forced and you making plays, but you're forcing your hand. Like Ben Simmons did that for so long until he couldn't do it anymore. Like
I'm not gonna lie to you. You're thinking of his last year. I think you're thinking of his year. You're thinking of the year when he was with when he was with.
I think even in the league, he could still be a top 10 playmaker in the league.
I disagree 100%.
Even then, I don't know why we're even having this conversation about Ben Simmons. He's a point guard, even though he should be a power forward. Because he has the power body and archetype.
Also, when we are talking about playmaking,
all right. Well, okay. Stop me. All right, just to get a clear thing. Stop me because I'm not high on Ben Simmons playmaking at all. Stop me where you feel like I'm naming a playmaker that's worse than him. Darius Garland.
No, I think he's better than Darius.
Yeah, he's better.
Yes.
As a playmaker?
Yes.
Especially because of his size and strength, allowing him to.
No way, bro.
Khalil, am I wrong?
No.
Khalil.
No way. Ben Simmons is a better playmaker than him.
Yes, I think Darius' size actually plays against him because the fact that he's not going to be seeing certain lanes open for him. I think Trae Young is one of the few players that you can really argue that even his size doesn't affect his playmaking because he's just so creative and he's also just never.
So
and he's one of those
Darius
players
Garland is better in the pick and roll than Ben
aggressively
Simmons,
hunt
100%. Like playmaker in the pick and roll, it's him.
Who?
Darius Garland. Darius Garland had y'all thinking that Evan Mobley and Darius Garland had y'all thinking that Evan Mobley and Jared Allen were
I'd say yes
due
due to his
than what Ben Simmons had.
Darius Garland had y'all believing that Jared Allen and Evan Mobley were valuable offensive players, bro.
Wait, what?
It was him because it wasn't Donovan Mitchell. People were believing in Evan Mobley's offense and Jared Allen's being able to like roll to the paint before Donovan Mitchell got there.
Yeah,
that was because of Darius Garland, though. Like outside of that, like they can't score by themselves. Like, did Ben Simmons ever do that for anybody?
I'm not gonna lie.
That don't make him not a bad playmaker to say that.
Can we get back to the? Can we get back to what we're talking about?
Because he had players like Thibault being comparable on his team. Like they was playing Thibault on his team.
I mean,
well, yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you. I kind of want to move back to what we're talking about. You do have a point though, Funny. I'm not gonna lie to you about the PNR situation. You have a point, but I'm gonna bring it back to what we're talking about. So when it comes to the archetypes for small forwards, what's your top three? How do you rank them?
Scoring, defense, playmaking. Playmaking is last.
Yeah, your opinion, Moo?
Scoring. I would change my to playmaking being I do think defense. I had to think about the defensive players in the league.
I like your argument about defense though.
But I do think they got the lower ceiling out of probably the lower floor, should I say? Yeah, floor than any.
But that's just due to the fact that the offense can become so bad that they can
they get played off the floor. I don't think no playmaker would get played off the floor also.
I do agree with that simply because of the fact that at the end of the day, as a small forward, you're almost automatically going to be a neutral to decent good defender because just the ability of small forwards essentially being able to do everything on the defensive end and also be serviceable on the offensive end. So I do understand that because as a playmaker, there's no real way to be a playmaker and be horrible offensively. That just doesn't make sense. Like, so I do agree with you. That I do understand that defensive small forwards have the lowest floor, but I would say that they have probably the highest ceiling in my opinion, because even though you can sit down and say yes, small forwards as a scorer can be the number one on a championship team, they would still have flaws in that offensive game. Like usually scorers are not necessarily the best into getting into their own shot. Like they may need to get set up by their point guard. I don't think you need a way to set up a fucking guard to set up the defense so that the small forward can actually provide his ability on the defensive end. I think the small forward can actually just help plug in any holes or any breakdowns on the defense and bolster up his defense by himself essentially. And I think that's my main reason. I think that defensive guards have the highest ceiling, even if you say that they have the highest floor. Sorry, the lowest floor.
I agree with you. You'll see a three. You will see a three that cannot do anything offensively, but is an elite defender on the court more than you'll see the playmaking version of that, where you're not good at anything else but playmaking.
But who?
You're at the three. You're not going to see that often.
But name the players though that are.
No, that's what I'm saying. You can't because you're not going to see that.
Because
if you're not good, if you're only good at playmaking at the three, you're not going to be on the team.
Just playmakers. That's about small.
Well, that's exactly what I'm saying.
That's what we're saying. We're saying that small.
You're going to see Matisse Thybulle on the court.
Exactly.
Because defense is still so valued at the three.
I don't think he's a small
before you see somebody like him, but a playmaking version of that. Like you're never gonna see like
Matisse is actually a hybrid between a guard and a small and a forward because he's
you're never gonna see like
7.
You're never gonna see like the Tyus Jones of small forwards where the best thing that they do is playmaking, and it's not that they're bad at everything else, they just don't even do anything else very much. Like you're not gonna see that out the small forward. But you will see a small forward that plays defense and can't do nothing else, he'll still be on the court. Like those guys get paid a lot, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Like those guys be on the court often. But as a playmaker, like if you were just like the Rondo of small forwards, bro, you're not going to be on the team.
Yeah.
What's your opinion, Khalil, by the way?
Oh, I said my opinion like 3 times on the small forward. I said, or you might have not been here. I said scoring, defending, playmaking.
A scorer, defender, playmaker.
First.
Okay, yeah. So mine is defender, as I said, then scorer, and then playmaking. Because playmaking is kind of similar to fucking shooting guard, and I'm starting to realize that playmaking might actually be the worst when it comes to the bigs, because that point guard mostly are really
one.
Yeah, we didn't really think about that one, but that's I'd say playmaking. Point guards are already pretty much having to share most of the bulk of the playmaking on the team. So I mean, small forwards being the best playmaker on your team is going to be weird, and I just don't think that they can actually be the best playmaker and actually could be conducive to winning. I really don't. Because then they would have to also be a good to great scorer. Because if you're not being a good to great scorer, then who is going to be the great scorer on your team? The point guard that we already talked about how that was of is it. Jesus Christ, we already talked about how that is an issue. The shooting guard would make sense. The power forward, which is the next one that we're going on to, would make sense too. Actually, I actually want to move on to power forward right now. But let me finish.
Power forward is completely different for me, man. I think power forward is a very unique position.
Mm-hmm.
Power forward, I'm gonna go. I think the best one is defense. I think being a defensive four probably the most valuable to winning. Like if you're the best defender on your team at the four, yeah, we building a championship team for sure.
Yeah, that's the thing I'm sitting down thinking about, because when you really sit down with the 4s and 5s, because I'm not gonna lie to you, we might as well like essentially mesh them into one, really, and sit down and think about it. What really a dominant scorer type power forwards or centers have won, not even won chips, just being very successful in the playoffs. Yeah, really only Dirk.
I think playmaking is second, man. I think, man, being a big and being able to make like that extra pass or that, the big to big connection, that shit's money.
I don't agree with that. I think scorer is second.
You think? I'm not disagreeing with you. I can see that.
The reason why I'm
gonna go out on a limb and say playmaking, bro. Like
the reason why I say that, you know how we talked about how scorers, most of the scorers that are going to be able to. Jesus Christ, let me think. How do I explain this in the best terms? You know how we talked about how small forwards, when it comes to being scorers, their floor as a defender is usually high enough to be at least a neutral or good. Really and truly, for power forwards, it's gonna be the same, if not a little bit higher than that. Because really and truly, most power forwards or centers are going to be good to great defenders. Yeah, I wouldn't even let's not give them great, because that's too much. But let's say good defenders. You are already providing a lot of value on the defensive end as being a good 4 or good 5, because we all know that 4s and 5s provide the most defensive value on the team majority of the time. So if you're able to do so at a good level, you're providing a lot more value on the defensive end than like a small forward would, or like, for example, a shooting guard or a point guard would. Yeah,
I agree.
So
I guess I'm just trying to be the
contrarian,
the person that picks playmaking, bro. I think
exactly,
because the playmakers that I'm trying to reference, they are also just really good scorers, and that's what helps them. But I think, bro, being a power forward playmaker is real important. Like, look at a handful of teams that have won championships that have like power forwards that can play make at a decent level. Decent to damn near pretty good. You got Pau Gasol, who I think is probably one of the best, if not the best.
That's probably the best. Even though he's also a hybrid with scorer, but I'd say, well, what would you say is his best attribute though? Would you not say it's
I would
scoring?
argue that his playmaking is a little better than his scoring, or they're equal. I think
Do
they're
you
equal.
guys agree with that?
That meant him, Kevin Garnett. Obviously, Kevin Garnett's playmaking.
No, Kevin Garnett
scoring,
is so
obviously.
much skewed in defense.
Yeah, you got, but like I said, all the people that I would name, they're better scorers than they are playmakers, but their playmaking ability is so great. Like Chris Webber.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I think scorers are better because the fact that when you sit down and think about it, other than like, I know that Dirk isn't even an outlier because he's strictly a scoring power forward. He's strictly a scoring power forward. Same with Barkley. They're strictly scoring power forwards. So it's not even like they're outliers. Those are like the archetype that you're looking for. And they were bad defensively, but that was due to Dirk just being slow and had slow foot speed. But if you're talking about like a normal power forward, I actually think they could really reach near Dirk's high as an offensive player while not bleeding as much value on the defensive end as Dirk, because I think that they would be able to really guard 3 to 5s and be fine with it. Maybe not 2 to 1s.
Playmaking might be a bad thing. No, I'll take what I said back. Playmaking is not second; it is third. I think passing as a power forward is very important. Like being a good passer, like to a championship team. I think that could be, because look at it, like you got Chris, you got Powell, you got Kevin Love,
there's
Bosh.
Yes.
A lot of people don't like to respect Boris Diaw on those teams on the Spurs. Making Tim Duncan's job so much easier, getting him easier looks. You got Charles Barkley, Chris Webber, like whether passing was so important at the
I'd even say Charles Barkley is more of a way more skewed.
No, they're definitely more scores. Most of the people that I said, aside from
most of them.
But like I would say that passing, Charles Barkley not, but somebody like Powell and other people like that, and like Chris Bosh on the Heat.
Yeah, we know
their passing could be equal to their scoring. Like their passing could be as valuable to them.
The reason why I'm more hesitant to say that is because power forwards and bigs are already more predicated to being set up. Whether it's by the small forward, the shooting guard, or the guard. So their impact on passing or playmaking is going to be less needed, because usually if they're like, for example, if they're the scorer, they're already going to be good enough as a scorer to really impact their team, even if they're not that good as a playmaker, because they're going to, not a playmaker, a passer. Because the actual threat of them scoring is going to shift the team in defense anyway.
Yeah, I agree.
So I don't think as a scoring four you're going to need that anyways, compared to, for example, a playmaking four who's not going to have that much value as a scorer or a defender. Yeah, he's going to be good playmaking, but really and truly, I don't see him going to be, even if he's like the best offensive piece on his team. Of course, the best playmaker on his team, I think that's going to still bring up a lot of issues, because he's not going to be providing that much effort on the defensive end, not effort, value on the defensive end to make up for the fact that he's that great playmaking wise. I'm not going to say he's going to get played off the court, but I think that he's just going to bring overall less value compared to a defensive or a scoring, because I just think scoring. Yeah, Kyra.
Yeah. How y'all rankings go? Because I got
my other. Oh, go ahead, my bad.
You good? You could go.
My other, what's it called, bro? When you're only a scorer at the four, that I think is the worst thing to be. Like hands down for winning. Like if you can only score, you can't play no defense, bro. That is so ass. Like at the four, I think that's why I want to put scoring last, bro. That's another.
Yeah, reason. But I think
it's
the only reason why I said
I think it's so many power forwards that scored very well. That
like if you're not good at defense at the four, like that can
Yeah,
make or break
I
the
got
team being
defense
good
at
or
number
not. I
one.
think.
I got defense at number one. And scoring second and playmaking third.
Like think about this, bro. Like there's times where you can look back on the Bulls with Luau Deng and Joakim Noah. There's times where you can look back, and I hate to dog Carlos Boozer like this, but he's a really good person to use. You could see where it was like, damn, bro, if you could just defend in any circumstance, this team would be even better than they already are.
What's good, Dev?
I hear a whole bunch of chatting up here.
Gabachi.
He's
Let me
guard like he's
let me
Who's
tell
that,
you what the
Dub?
most
look at Nikola
man,
Vucevic, bro.
man.
That
Yeah,
Listen,
but
I
Vuce
him
is the
understand.
being
I
a
got
bad
center.
chatting.
defender is great. Like it makes his team so much worse. Like
It does. That's the only issue with scoring is because I'm going into the mindset that you're not bad on the other aspects.
but
And
we see
as a
fours who suck, bro, defensively, bro.
that's the thing. Yeah, I do agree with that
You got
because
Carl Anthony Towns who used to be a four, garbage defensively. Nikola Vucevic, Dookie, Sabonis,
actually, to be
Ulu,
fair,
like
Carl Anthony Towns, ever since he stepped into the NBA, was a center.
I do
But
have a
He's
that's
talking
true.
question.
about a foreign
But
college, probably.
foreign
Sabonis,
college,
Yeah.
I
Sabonis,
do
Dookie,
understand.
bro. Sabonis, Dookie, bro.
I
Dookie.
do have a
Yeah.
question for
Bro.
you guys.
He's good.
Sabonis is also another player that was masquerading as a center but playing power forward because of his team comp by.
Yeah.
He
I
still
do have a
played the
question
four,
for you
bro.
guys.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, but we both know that he shouldn't be the four. On a real team, he should be a
And
center.
then we
He
can
does
even use
not have the
Dirk
foot
because
speed to
Dirk
defend
did
him.
win. But look at how long it took him. Him being that bad offensively at the four was costing them until they got Tyson
You mean defensively?
Chandler.
You mean defensively, and even now it's also costing him offensively because he can't hit anything. He can't hit a jumper to save his
Feel
soul.
me? So
But
like,
Can I ask you guys? So, like, you think being so basically, what I'm hearing is, if you want a defensive liability as a big, you much rather have it at center than power forward. I'm hearing.
I think that
no one is saying that. What?
being a
No,
defensive,
I'm saying which one you think is
scoring,
worse. Like, which one you think is worse? Like, a guy who's bad at defense at power forward or center?
I think both are
Center is
extremely
worse
valuable.
because center is usually the backbone of your defense, defending
Yeah,
the rim,
center
which
is
is
going to
the
be better,
most
but your
high.
four can kind of act as your five in certain cases. But I think
No, the
being
5 is the
being
worst.
score first and score only at the four,
Yeah.
like you could literally you could have one of the best defenses in the league, which is literally the Bulls, and add Carlos Boozer at the four, and you're not going to win. Because he's your help side defender most of the time, like helping your big. Like your big is back there, you feel me, anchoring. But we're looking for that four to be that help side defender, and when you can't do it, look, and this is not just on the Bulls, but he was on the Jazz, and the reason why the Jazz couldn't get over the hump is because defensively, bro, they were so sweet because of Carlos Boozer. Like,
Yeah, for sure. There's only so much a center can do with no help.
like he
Yeah,
needs his help.
Like it's
so
gonna
much.
get cooked 100% of the time in the playoffs.
Hey man, shout out to my nigga. Fuck, Rudy Gobert, man, because that's
also-
what that nigga was going through too.
Yeah, and also the thing with like, I'm gonna bring up the funny thing with like having
Change the banners,
a
you know?
guy that's bad at defense like Dirk. You had to build a team so good. Like that 2011 team had a defense around like Jason Kidd. Even though Jason Kidd was out of his prime, he's still one of the best guard defenders of all time. He had Tyson Chandler next to him. They had Sean Marion next. Sean Marion's on that Mavericks team, right?
Yeah, bro.
Yeah, Sean Marion and like Terry.
Yeah,
So like
Deshaun Stevenson too.
yeah, so you had to have like really good defenders around him. So while he cooked on offense, and then he had
Yeah,
like
you had to
6 man
stack
on
the
the bench.
defenders. You literally had to have defenders out the wazoo because being a non-defender at the four literally can cost you everything. Like it can cost you so much, bro. Like, and look at Dirk, bro.
Nigga, fuck you.
Dirk was the first seed off his offense, and then as soon as he got into the playoffs, the Warriors were like, "Well, we finna just get on his ass." Like
Yeah,
Like,
it was
we
a
finna
bad
just
matchup.
cook
It was
him,
a
like,
bad
I
matchup
do-
for them.
So
and it
when
costed
we
him.
really
Like,
sit
bro,
down and
Steven
think
Jackson
about
had
it,
40. Like, what? Like that's bad, man. I think playmaking for me has to be second because if I strip everything away from power forward and say you can only score, bro, I could put the best niggas on my team and we still might fucking lose, bro.
Yeah,
So-
I'm going defense, playmaking, scoring. I'm not gonna cap.
Yeah, I would say
I'm still gonna stick with the score as the second part because when you sit down and think about it, I think that playmaking is a way more unknown type because we've not seen we've not really sit down and think about it. What playmaking power forwards that's their biggest, like their best attribute by a long margin, like a huge margin, like that really attributed to a lot of stuff. I think that if you do a thing where you said, okay, he's a scorer but he doesn't provide any value on the other side, you can, and I do the same thing for playmaking, you really can't sit here and tell me that playmaking is
No,
better.
you're right. Well, I can't, bro. Listen to me. You're so right. What I'm saying is I think I'm willing to take my chances because anything has to be better than a power forward who can't play no defense, bro.
That
Like anything, like it has to be anything. Like it's so bad, man, bro.
I mean, but
think
wouldn't
about
playmaker also not be able to play defense though?
yes, but like it can't be no worse than it can't be any worse, bro. Like,
So my question would be then: do you think that the ability to be a great connector? Because I'm guessing, because as a playmaker, you're going to be a connector, right? So
yeah,
you
like being that connector is more
more valuable than being
being
the head of the
score
offense.
first, man. It has to be,
Okay.
bro. Because look,
I mean,
we talk about the Bulls, right? I
Mhm.
keep going back to that because Carlos Boozer is literally the perfect example. Like he's the perfect example of how bad it can get. We talk
yeah,
about
that's just dev being dev, man, being a whole lot spot AI behavior.
listen.
What happened?
You could take
Bro, Dev
that team
came
was winning
in
60 games.
asking some shit, and I was like, "Bro, what do you mean?"
Respect him. But yeah, I ain't gonna lie. There is power forward connectors that I'd rather have than pure scoring power forward.
Bro, like
For sure.
listen to me,
That I
man.
was trying to get to the bottom of because I was trying to understand where he was coming from. And if you say power forward connect, you value power forward connectors over score first power forwards, then understandable. I understand you there.
Because
Yeah,
think about
but
it, bro. Carlos
is
Boozer was on the
that
team.
first option passes though?
No,
Exactly.
Can I
But
say
that's the
this too?
thing, though. Like with power forward, we kind of have to speak from like it's a different perspective that we got to speak from. But this is what I'm saying. Like we saw the Bulls; they were constructed of an MVP point guard. No matter how niggas feel about his MVP year, but he was an MVP point guard at 20 fucking 2. You got Luau Deng, one of the best wing defenders in the league, like amongst like the top 15.
Mm-hmm.
You got Joakim Noah, who was literally in the MVP race on the back of his defense and his playmaking. You got fucking Jimmy Butler coming off the bench. And the reason why you niggas couldn't, like, you were not just LeBron, like, you were losing to other teams because niggas were seeing Carlos Boozer, and it's like, he's not going to be able to help you. Carmelo Anthony was giving the Bulls the blues because, bro, Luau Deng was out there by himself, man.
Fighting for his life.
You're not going to
Yeah,
get no help from Carlos Boozer. Like, he's not going to help you at all. And
Yeah, here fighting for his life while Carlos Boozer is just sat there.
that cost them so damn much, bro, that I have to believe that playmaking, I have to believe that somebody like a Boris Diaw is better for winning than a nigga who can't play defense at the four, bro. Because you basically have no help in the paint when your four can't defend. Your help is pretty much not there.
I think I was going to say this.
Not there.
Because like if you look at the best power forwards of all time, like we won't say like Tim Duncan #1, and I have Kevin Garnett too. Some people might have the kitty filler at 3 at 2, but if you notice
why are we bringing him up?
No, I'm not bringing him up. I'm not bringing him up,
fam.
But I'm not. But like
nigga came up here and brought up Karl Malone. Banish him.
No. I'm not bringing him up.
Send you to the fucking shadow realm, my guy.
But the thing is with KG and Tim Duncan, if you notice, they're more defensive oriented. Yes, they are good offensively, but their cachet was on defense. And I feel like with power forward, even look at AD and Giannis, both of them are really good at defenders as well. So I feel like defense for a power forward is one of the most valuable spot. and I don't
I'll
mean to
bring up
like
somebody
repeat
else
what you
too,
guys
man.
said, because like they
Amari
can.
Stoudemire, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Immaculate offensively. Bro, they was on offense getting on his ass. And like he couldn't do shit. Like the teams couldn't do nothing about it. Like his team defensively could not recover from him being that bad as a defender, because at the 4, you're looked at to help around the rim. You're looked at to help with rebounds, blocks, rim protection. You're looked at to disturb. And when you can't do that, or people feel like they can abuse you at that position, it's almost as bad as when you're a 5 and you don't play no defense. Like, it's bad. Like it can cost you. Like, your defense can crumble from the inside that way. So I have to feel like playmaking is better than that. Like, there's no way that it ain't.
Yeah, for sure. And a nigga like Boris Diaw can give you a lot of value.
A lot
of value.
He added a couple of years on Tim Duncan.
Yeah, for sure. Even he's able to even like help on defense as a one-on-one defender, while on offense he's still going to be a really good connector for you while still being able to spot up. I'm taking that archetype. Yeah, I'm taking that archetype over like a shot chucking power forward who's really not going to give you anything defensively. Like, that just rarely ever wins ever.
Look at Kevin Love. Defensively, he's not good no more like that. Offensively, I mean, he's just old, but he be on the court. His playmaking, it be helping.
He's a good passer and rebounder.
Like, it be helping, and like, he doesn't play all the time, so obviously him being bad on defense, he has to not be on the court that much. But when he is, the fact that he can play make, you don't forget that he's not a good defender, but you're like, okay, you're making those connecting passes and you're helping your offense out. Like, you're being that relief for your point guard, and you're getting easy baskets this way. But a bad defender, like, what can you do as a 4 when you're a bad defender? Like, we can't hide you. You're big as hell. Where are we going to put you? Unless we get the best defenders across the league like the Mavericks did that one year, how the fuck are we going to do this?
That I agree. So essentially, what you're saying is that the power, it was called the Score Fest, have such a low floor, while you're saying that they have probably not. Would you say they have the highest ceiling, or do you think they would
probably
have the
yeah? If you're a dominant scoring 4, like I think defense might be a little higher, but scoring is definitely high, man.
Okay, so you think high. So it's essentially like we've had for the small forward ish. What is the small forward? Or was the shooting guard? Where essentially
small forward.
The what's called the scorer power forward has the highest or second highest ceiling, but they have the lowest floor. Okay.
The lowest floor, 100%.
But have I asked you guys what's your opinion on that? I'm gonna go around with first funny again.
Yeah, I agree. It's gotta be the lowest floor, bro. Scoring only.
Oh, I meant like your top 3. What's your top 3 again?
Defense, playmaking, scoring. Defense being the highest ceiling out of every position so far.
What's your opinion, me?
I got defense, scoring,
playmaking. Gotcha.
Yeah, and playmaking.
Kilo?
Defense, playmaking, scoring.
And Dev, the bot?
Defense and the chill.
Yeah, chill on that nigga, boy.
I said defense.
Knock the fuck out of you.
The things of scoring, because like I'm trying to think between scoring and defense, because like if you have a dominant scorer, I'm gonna go defense, scoring, playmaking.
All right,
and it's like it's close to me. I can flip flop between the playmaking and scoring.
And I'm the same. I think it's defense, scoring, and playmaking. Do you guys want to do center,
bro? And I'm gonna bank on Alperen Sengun proving all you niggas wrong when he becomes the best playmaker on his team.
Oh, I hope.
Does he know that Alperen will be in a similar mode of Jokic, where they're kind of a hybrid of between scoring and playmaking?
I don't know. Alperen, he can score, but
does he know?
I don't know.
That's how I think it will. I think he's gonna be like a 25-point scorer with being probably
25.
I don't think he's
25.
Yeah, I think he's gonna average 25. Not next year, but he can average
25 points per game. That's what you're saying?
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie
That's
to you.
hard to do, bro.
I kind of want to go into centers, but I think we all are gonna be doing the similar shit, where it's defense is number 1, and then it's a toss up between scoring and fucking playmaking. And I think we're all gonna think
we low key don't even gotta like get into that because. But I'll tell you this: Jokic, you sold me. I might put playmaker second because you selling me. Jokic, you're selling me.
Yeah, but you're sat here thinking about Jokic out of how many fucking bigs that were
Hey,
ever
all I'm
able to be
saying is,
that great as a
twin.
playmaker. And
All I'm
even
saying
Jokic
is,
is,
twin,
and
is
I'll
you
be real
selling
with
me.
you, I don't even want to use Jokic as a example because I want to say his scoring is actually underratedly close to his playmaking. That's how much of a
I can agree
close
with that
Monster is
stance,
as a
but
playmaker, as a
Jokic
scorer.
is selling me on the playmaking
Because
at
when
the
you sit
center.
down and
It
think
might be
about it
some
during that
raw
playoff,
ass shit.
if you really sit down and think about it, the playoffs run, who was stopping him as a scorer? No one wasn't.
No.
AD was the only one who really was slowing him down, and that was because, and even then, that was the only reason why. And even then, I would say that that was probably Jokic being the least aggressive that he was throughout the whole playoffs. I think
But
that
let
he
me
was
get
way
this
less
off though.
aggressive
Let me
because
see how y'all feel about this. A lot of the best centers in the NBA ever, correct? Like Shaquille O'Neal, Hakeem, right? These
yeah,
guys. In the modern era, we ain't gonna go back too far because I don't give no fuck about all that shit. But their playmaking ability when they're able to do it, like Shaq being able to make them passes, and because when you're such a good scorer in the paint, you making them passes outside the paint, they're real easy because you can see everything. Is that maybe not enough proof to say like, if there was a center who was a better playmaker than he was a scorer, like pretty convincingly, like he can still score, like he can still get you 15, 16, but like his playmaking is the best part of his game. Do you think he's a respectable enough to where
actually, the
it can
more
be
you talk
more
about
impactful
it,
than scoring as a center?
the more you talk about it, the more I'm actually starting to be fine more and more with the power forward part. Because if you really sit down and say you bring the center into the post, because they're usually going to be having some type of post work, and you're telling me, yo, no matter what you do, this center cannot be doubled because of the fact that he provides so much value as a playmaker that he can literally
Yeah.
cover our team from inside out. I think that does like I'm not gonna lie to you. The more and more I think about it, I might actually put a playmaker as a second.
And it's a thing when you can't be doubled, you don't have to reach the heights of scoring ability as everybody else. Like if I'm
That's
getting
not
one-on-one
even
looks, I
why
can
I'm
just get to my
saying that.
shit.
Funny, your point is not even what I'm trying to say, and your point makes a lot of sense. It's the notion of saying, "Yo, I have an inside-out threat. You
Yeah.
cannot double him. He can take advantage of you only putting one player on him. He can also take advantage of someone trying to skeet closer to him. He can just swing it to an open shooter or what's called swing it to his play one of his players, and then they can carry on with the connectors on the team to pass around the advantage. The fact that they have that ability as a inside out threat is such a amazing thing that I'm not gonna lie to you, that probably bumps down scoring as a 4, and I think I'm gonna have playmaking both from the 4 and 5 as the number 2. I actually
Another
just
player
realized
who
that might
showed
actually
us
be it.
that. Another player, I hate to bring him up, but I mean, he's been in the league 40 million years. LeBron playmaking out the post really showed us a lot of how much like you really see when you're playmaking from that point on the floor, like, and how good you can become at it. Like, you don't just have to be Shaquille O'Neal where you just make the pass to the easy corner, or you only make the first pass, the first read. If you just use your brain at the center, you see everything going on so much that like how Jokic be making those incredible passes is because he knows like I'm in the paint all the time. I know exactly how you guys are going to react to when I'm moving around because I see you. Like I literally see it with my own eyes every time. So now I know I can be confident that if I take 2 dribbles down on the block back to the basket, I know that corner man is going to move because he does it every time. I don't even have to look. You know what I'm saying? And think that could be a little bit more valuable than scoring at the 5. And I didn't used to be like that, bro. I didn't think Jokic was going to win a championship doing that. I didn't think.
No, my only issue with Jokic was the
Yeah.
defensive end and wondering if he's going to be able to hold his value due to the fact that they're going to pressure the rim against him. But then he didn't really go against any teams that could really pressure the rim. And that's why
That's
he won
true.
a chip. So really and truly, even though he won the chip, it didn't really answer my question I mean,
I
when
agree.
he's able to essentially dodge all the teams that I thought could have really posed a threat to him and win a chip there, like I'm not cutting down anything that Jokic did. I'm not gonna lie to you. I still have Jokic as the best player in the league. I think Jokic deservedly
Bro,
won
bro.
the chip. But I just think that the ability, that the fact that he really not got lucky, but got fortunate to really dodge all the teams that could really give him problems by attacking the rim well. Like, the Lakers with LeBron being
You want to see
unhealthy.
him just go against more talent at his position defensively.
I wouldn't even say his position. I'm just saying a team where they have a guard, a small forward, a power forward that really pressures the rim. And he didn't go against any. The only one was really LeBron, and LeBron was injured. So
Yeah, that's
that's
true.
the only thing I have to
Because we
say.
saw how he had struggled with Ant. We seen him struggle with. We seen how easy Ant was getting to the rim when they played. They lost because they weren't the better team, but that was really the only glimpse that we got
They
of a
lost
person
because they
that's
didn't
going
have
to
J
attack the
Mac.
rim.
They didn't have a lot of. I think some of their players were just injured. So they're like, damn.
No,
I think look at how good he played. But like, just
They
even
didn't
go,
have
we can
J-Mac
even
when,
reference just how good Ant played. Like Ant played amazing doing that. So that shows, like, yeah, Jokic, you may have got a little lucky with how teams decided to play against you.
I don't even want to say lucky because at the end of the day, you play what's in front of you. That's why I said fortunate because
Yeah, so I
lucky,
mean, but
like,
finals,
lucky,
winning
for
the
sure.
championship, winning the championship, luck is involved. Like,
yeah.
For
like
sure.
you have to get lucky. Like there's a because injuries and NBA teams, like as much as we would like to see the most competitive teams go against each other, NBA teams know when they get lucky with teams that play a certain way
That are a
against
good
them.
counter to them.
Yeah, like they know, like you guys are good, but the matchup between us favors us. Like, and they're okay with that, and they know that it doesn't have anything to do with anybody's talent. It's just the talent is like different. Like what you guys can do, we can guard, and what you guys don't do, like it's lucky for us. Like y'all don't go to the rim that much. That's lucky for us. You feel me? Like we got lucky. And it's okay.
So
He still got to go out there and hoop. So it really like it doesn't mean too much, but it's still there though. But he convinced me, man. Just the precision in his passes is crazy, y'all. Like it felt like he just know everything that's going on at every moment, bro.
Jokic?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I ain't gonna lie. I definitely got on my top 50 players in the current NBA now after that playoff.
Yeah. I'm real high on Jokic, man. Like I already think he's probably like one of the best playmakers ever, like top 6. Like, just off talent alone, like his longevity is gonna have to catch up with everybody else. But like if you say Jokic,
I was talking about current.
Ever, I would agree with you. I'll be like, that's a good take. No cap.
No. I'm talking about current NBA.
Oh, top 15 player in the league?
No, 50. He cracked it.
Oh yeah, duh.
No, he was definitely not top 50 before this season.
Oh, bro, yeah, bro.
Nigga said chill. All right, but center, I'm not gonna lie. It's just definitely defense scoring than playmaking.
Yeah.
Scoring
We've seen centers who literally are so awful on offense be the most impactful nigga on their team. Like,
oh yeah, but
Wallace.
I mean, I don't think anyone's going to argue about defense because
defense is
center
clear.
is like arguably the best.
I mean,
got the highest ceiling out of every
look at
position, period.
I mean, look at like guys like Dwight. I mean, Dwight Howard wasn't awful offensively, but he wasn't a great. But like his defense is so impactful and helped lead his team to the finals.
think-
Because
I'm not
he-
gonna
we talking about
you're
Robert
right.
Williams type niggas.
Yeah,
I was gonna say,
niggas like
I
Ben
think
Wallace,
Dwight
bro.
is too
Ben
much.
Wallace.
Just literally say Gobert,
Russell.
Gobert, Robert Williams.
Ben Wallace literally
Okay,
was. Ben Wallace is probably the worst offensive center I've ever laid my eyes on in real life, bro. And he was so pivotal to them winning rings. Like you could, he's the only person that people say I think he was the best player on the Pistons. I don't agree with you, but like I don't have enough information to say that he's not.
I actually think he is
because he was so impactful, bro.
Like he was like vastly superior as a defender than than everyone on that team, and the value he brings on the defensive end as one being the best rim protector on the team, also being very switchable to the point where he can actually play on the perimeter, although he's liable to kind of do his own thing and kind of have defensive breakdowns because of that. So I do think, yes, he is the best defender on the team. And I think it's actually not that close. And I think because of the amount of value he brings on that team defensively, I think he is the best player on that team. Yeah. Some people will argue, other people,
fact that he
I
was
don't
even
agree
arguable,
with it. I don't think it's arguable.
I know. I think he would. No, I'm saying the fact that he was even arguable as not a defender as a whole, but being arguably the best rim protector in the 2000s with niggas like Tim Duncan and Kevin Garnett running around is like very impressive. And
I understand
that bad on
the KG part, because KG's value isn't necessarily not only his rim protection, it's the fact that he's essentially one of the few players ever to really guard 135.
No, I'm saying no. The defense. But I'm saying, like, even
I get what you're
protection,
saying.
like being in the same conversations with those niggas in rim protection, and you're that bad on offense is just impressive within itself. Like,
I get what you're saying.
That was terrible, bro.
I was just talking, to be fair.
once his defense left, when he got to Cleveland, he was literally worthless as an NBA player.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like he was worthless, bro. Like his career was over. Like that shit.
I think we covered every position, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, we did.
And guess what? It took 2 hours and 15 minutes. I was actually surprised.
Half of the hour, like a whole hour of it was small forwards, by the way.
Yeah. Hey, I'm not gonna lie to you though. I was sitting down and thinking about small forward because oh wow, I've been holding on the best archetype for small forwards for like a good 30 minutes now. Nice. But the thing is with small forwards is that they bring so much. We all know they're the most versatile part of the team.
They're the cream of the crop, man.
Exactly. So okay, but they could bring so much value in so many different ways that it's kind of hard to just kind of say, okay, it's scoring. Okay, it's defense.
I'm a wing.
Okay,
I'm a wing forward. I'm a small forward, and I was cooking Khalil at the gym the other day. He couldn't guard me.
Khalil, I'm hearing he was giving you that work.
He was a cone. He could not defend me, bro.
Khalil, we just got beat by 50, bro.
Y'all need me, bro. Hey, funny, when you getting 2K, bro?
I got it already. I just don't beat, bro. I ain't gonna lie, bro.
What if you don't get on?
I got a girl, bro. I'll be
before you guys get on,
bro.
I want to say this to you guys. Thank you all for pulling up. Moo for pulling up. Thank you very much, man. Dev for pulling up. Yeah. So give me 1 second. I'm gonna have them remove you guys for a sec. But so this is the Full Court Press episode 5 with the 2 new co-hosts that I'm gonna be bringing on. So you're gonna regularly see them, Khalil and Funny Fat Boy. Thank you guys for coming through. I really love the fact that you were here. People talking in the chat. I'm thankful for all of you for coming through. And hey, it's only episode 5. I'm glad and waiting for more to come through, man. So, as you know, it's time to say goodbye. See ya.
See ya.
Peace.
Peace out, low man.
Hey.